The Drop with Frank and Brian is officially brought to you by Switch Suspension. Switch Suspension specializes in all vehicle chassis components, lift kits, lowering kits, air ride suspension, as well as wheels, tires, steering, and brake upgrades. They use all the best products from the best brands. These guys are truck guys. You roll into their parking lot at the shop and they all drive custom vehicles and they use the products they sell on their own rides. So if you guys are looking for specialty parts, whether you're just starting out or you just need some replacement parts, give them a call or visit their website, switchsuspension.com.
We hope you enjoy this episode of The Drop. If you like these podcasts and all the other content we create, head on over to our website and purchase some apparel. Our websites are thegoodlife.com and livelifecustom.com. We really appreciate it. Now on to the episode.
Are you recording? We're recording.
Ready for this?
Sure.
All right.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Neither do we.
Yeah, but you've done it about 100 more times than I have.
That doesn't mean we know what we're doing.
That means absolutely nothing. Have you ever been on a podcast before? No, it's the first one. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so special.
You should.
I feel so special.
Yeah.
You should. All right.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Welcome to this week's episode. We are sitting here in Conroe, Texas, at LST
In our Airbnb. And while we were out here, we planned on doing some podcasts. We actually didn't know who we were going to have on the podcast. And Andy was in town, and he's like, "I'll do it." Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know. Did he say he'd do it, or he just?
He called me and said that he said, "I want to be on the podcast. Okay. You have to have me on the podcast."
Oh,
no,
he demanded it. He demanded it. Okay, but yeah. So we're sitting here, Andy, Hell's Gate, Hot Rods. We talk about Hell's Gate a lot, just because he built a Tacoma, I'm building a Tacoma, so we reference your company a lot, reference the parts and stuff. So yeah, it's really awesome to have you here.
That's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So tell us about you. Who
is Andy, and where did you come from? Why are you doing car stuff and truck stuff? Like, kind of tell us your origin story.
Okay. That's interesting. I haven't really gone back and thought about it or whatever, but I mean, it was originally, I would say, the first thing was mini trucks, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, because your Hell's Gate hot rods, so you're building hot rod type cars. But
yeah.
Do you start off in the truck scene, mini truck scene?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So in high school.
Oh, right on.
The first vehicle I ever bought personally was an S10.
Oh, nice.
So borderline mini. Depends on who you talk to.
Oh.
Leo's.
We also have Chupis and Leo here.
They're in the background. They're going to party.
Yeah, they're going to Ojos. What is it? Ojos.
What if we get them in trouble right now? They don't.
Oh. Never mind. Never mind that.
Sorry about that.
That's all good.
No. All right. So yeah. So you got an S10 in high school.
Yep. So we had an S10 in high school, and we're just kind of interested in cars and all that stuff, and so started dabbling in modifications and all that. And then actually got in a wreck with it, got hit with it, and so then I got all this insurance money. So I'm like, sweet. So I bought the truck back for $500.
Nice.
And then I put thousands and thousands of dollars into all the modifications for it.
Right on.
So completely shaved the truck except for the door handles, because it was my daily. I drove it everywhere. I did everything in.
Was it a standard cab or extra cab?
Standard cab, short bed.
Nice.
And so we put custom taillights in it, smooth roll pan, shaved a bunch of stuff other than the door handles, and just I did a bunch of work, slammed it. It wasn't on bags; it was static. And then I was a delivery driver.
Oh, right.
For work, so I got paid. Had a big stereo in it and everything, so I got paid to drive around. And
nice. Heck yeah, just cruise around.
Yeah, and so I didn't want it bagged and all that because I had to do work with it and everything. And so it started there, and then just through people I knew, I got in and started getting into the older vehicles, hot rods, street rods.
Now is this all up in Idaho?
Yep.
So I'm assuming
born and raised in Idaho, northern Idaho. So a pretty secluded.
I was going to say there's probably not a ton of mini trucks up there, mini truckers up there.
Not tons, but the city I was in is in a little warm spot of northern Idaho, and so it's kind of called the banana belt. So we didn't get snow.
Why is it called the banana belt?
Because it's warm,
tropical?
I guess.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like-
I mean, we're, what, 2 states in, 700 miles from the coast, and we're 700 feet of elevation.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
So it's the furthest inboard seaport. So you can get from the ocean to where I grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, through like just different
Through dams
waterways?
and locks and things
Oh,
like that.
wow.
And so like all the agriculture and grain and everything would go to sea through barges. So we were always, I guess that's kind of why we were warm, because we were pretty low elevation. And so we never got much snow or it'd melt by noon, you know. So I grew up with a 2-wheel drive truck, and there was 3 days a year that I might not be able to drive.
Are you
Yeah.
still in that same area today?
Fairly close.
Oh, right on.
Within 45 miles.
Oh, cool.
We're up more in elevation stuff, so we get all 4
Yeah, because you were
seasons.
like talking about snow earlier about not
Yeah,
getting
actually,
snow
right
this
now,
year.
I talked to guys back at the shop, and they're like, "Yeah, we got 5 inches last night."
Dang.
I was like, "That's the only snow we've got all year." It's kind of been a weird year.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But normally we could have a couple feet,
Wow,
you
that's
know,
cool.
like, I mean,
Definitely like a Four Seasons type place.
for sure.
That's awesome.
Which I
that's-
actually like.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
that's the thing too, is like people like up in Canada and stuff. A lot of them don't even get 2-wheel drive trucks available to them.
It's very hard to actually define 2-wheel drive. So there was like a small scene of like mini truckers there in 2-wheel drive in that actual town, but you kind of had to search for vehicles that were 2-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Like they're not common at all, and we were kind of
Is it just
the
because it's kind of
outcast.
rural and that kind of thing?
because of the weather.
Yeah, like if there's a lot of snow, then they're not going to sell a lot of 2-wheel drive cars.
Yeah, right.
It's all going to be 4-wheel drive stuff.
Especially newer like that, you know, like you can find some of like the older like C10s, but still even that, it's mostly K10s. You
Oh,
know?
okay, like little heavy duty trucks.
Yep, it's because it's a lot of agriculture, like farming.
Yeah, that's what I kind
So
of meant
it's
about the
like-
rural thing, like
yeah,
a lot
work
of
truck.
heavy duty trucks and 4-wheel drives and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's cool.
So actually, I've been thinking about it here lately. As a side note, like K50 or like C50 front ends,
Like the big, yeah.
like tall headlight and big over fenders. Those are everywhere where I'm at.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, if I could find a way to like bag and do those big trucks and almost like the Lodestar look and stuff,
Uh huh.
dude, I can pick those up for $500 all.
Yeah. Did you see a few of them cruising around today?
I did,
Those
yeah.
are tight, huh?
Yeah.
They're super cool.
Exactly.
I haven't. We had an interesting thought about this earlier about how like those type of vehicles are cool. Like there's guys who build like interesting kind of what I call novelty vehicles, like those trucks, and it's kind of an interesting place to be in because you want to build something unique and novelty, but then it still takes the same amount of work as building something more traditional. You know,
Right.
like a traditional, like a C10. My example was a C10.
Yep.
So it takes the same amount of effort to build those unique things as it is to build like a C10. But then you have to be that guy. That's like it's very like not specific, but
Like
you have to
niche.
like live that life. Like a C10, you fully build a C10, you can take it anywhere. Like you can take it to the beach, you can take it to dinner, you can take it anywhere to a truck show. With those ones, you're kind of very pigeonholed, and then that's like you're just that guy. You're like, oh yeah, you're the big truck guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just kind of an interesting thought, like how you have to kind of like sign up for that. Because like we look at it, like I see those things and I'm like, oh man, that's really cool. And then that's like,
But you're like, you wouldn't want one, or you have no use for one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, but if I saw like a bagged and body Tacoma, I'm like, that is sick. I would drive that. I would want that forever. You
Yeah.
know. So I don't know. Just a very interesting observation. But they're
Yeah.
super cool.
So yeah, I've kind of been all over. I mean, I'll probably get sidetracked a bunch, but
That's
like,
fine.
Yeah. No. That's great.
That was like-
We've got time, man.
yeah, but it's kind of evolved quite a bit. Like so then, through college, so I went to college for engineering. Sold my Mini. Got more practical, I guess, on everything, you know, and just kind of had that. Everything went back to just get into school, get my education, go into the workforce.
Were you part of a truck club or anything while you had your mini truck?
Nope.
No. Have you ever been part of a club?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Old like hot rods.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So then I met like one of our good friends. Like he was a retired guy that was like into street rods and like a bunch of the like. He was in the scene in 1959. Like
Oh,
he was
wow.
the
Oh, he's like an
most,
old head.
most interesting guy I've ever met. So he was
That's
a nuclear
cool.
weapons engineer in California in Livermore Labs. And then he literally had a record label in 1959
Wow.
doing like doo-wop,
Oh, really?
50s type.
Wow.
He lived in Texas and did all like this in Southern California and did the hot rods, like lived it all,
Yeah, like the real hot
like
rodding.
like the traditional hot rods. And so him and I really clicked it off big time, right? And so then that kind of started me into the hot rod stuff, and I was like, I'm going that way. This stuff's cool. Like I was
And you were like a
interested
younger
in it.
dude getting into all this?
Yeah. I was in college.
And did you plan on when you went to college for engineering? So did you see did you ever think you would go into start a hot rod shop or use your engineering stuff for vehicles, or were you going to use your engineering stuff for something else?
So I started that way so that's what I started out doing engineering for the automotive field.
Okay.
And mechanical engineering and going that direction. And then I did a little bit different internship in civil, which is more like roads, bridges, stuff like that. And I realized that I didn't want to live in Detroit or somewhere that I had to for the automotive, like big automotive scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
See,
You
that
know,
makes
so
sense.
I kind of switched my engineering a little bit, went into civil because you could basically be anywhere, and went that more direction, you know, as my career. And then it's like, I'll just do it on the side.
The vehicle stuff on the side.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just build vehicles, just myself. You know, it's just a hobby and whatever else. And so it kind of just got out of that like corporate vehicle design and all that on the engineering side of it. And then so it just kind of moved away like on the career wise, and then just started doing it as a hobby.
And then when did the hobby turn into the
business?
To the business.
Well, building traditional cars, it started with I needed exhaust for a custom truck I was building. So I started making header flanges. And then someone's like, "Oh, that's cool. So I was like, "Oh, I'll make a few sets and sell them, you know." And then I put them on eBay.
Okay.
And then it just kind of snowballed. And so the business started out as literally just like exhaust parts and stuff for do-it-yourself guys.
Yeah.
And I grew it to like the biggest exhaust flange and exhaust parts business in like pretty much in the nation. I'd say like no one could compete with me as far as I still sell them.
Yeah.
It's still part of the business. I mean, there's like 80 different flanges, like probably over 150 motor applications that we can make custom headers or sell the parts for them. And so it was like doing this, and then it evolved into other do-it-yourself type parts for the hot rod industry and all that. And it just kind of naturally evolved. Like the customers would dictate what we built.
A lot of like custom shops do that. They start with like a specific product, like a lot of motorcycle shops start with like fenders or tanks, and then it just snowballs into like full builds and customers and building custom bikes and stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
Like it was small parts, and then it moved into bigger parts, and then people were like, "Hey, can you work on this?" And I had a pretty small little garage shop. I mean, I could fit a little bit of my machinery in one vehicle, like hot rod, small vehicle, and that was it. And then it got to this point where I was working 80 plus hours a week, 40 hours from engineering.
40 hours your regular job.
And then for the hot rods, and I was like, all right. It got to this point where I was like,
Got to make a decision.
I got to make a decision.
Yeah.
I got to do something. And I decided to
go
go
for
full
it.
time.
Yeah.
And we built a whole new shop, like moved and everything, and just jumped in.
Well, it's cool that,
And
that
then
you
it kind of went into full builds.
Yeah, it's cool that you like were in like, because some people will be like they'll have their 9-to-5 job and just be like kind of sick of it and want to do something like that, like a custom shop or some sort of other business, and they don't have that like kind of like transition. Like you already started building like parts and selling and creating clientele and everything. And so was it? I mean, it's still scary, obviously, because you're like not doing this thing that you. This like reliable thing to do,
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely some scary part of it, but at least you had that kind of going for you already.
Yeah.
I think
It was a 7-8 year that I did them both.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
I think the
Yeah.
scariest part is with that transition is from people that I've talked to that have done it, and then I've kind of done it. Is like I had a county job, so it was a government job essentially.
Yeah.
Is you have retirement, you have benefits,
Yep.
you have those things where when you're doing what we do, we don't have any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, well, am I going to make enough money between now and this time to where when I can't do this stuff, am I going to like have that retirement that I saved up type thing? So
Yeah, and that was part of it, but my wife's awesome, and so
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's good.
she had a really good job.
Yeah, who's
Yeah,
also
all
sitting
that.
behind the camera,
Yeah.
who we invited on the podcast, but she politely
Turned us
declined.
down.
She said,
She politely declined.
but she was very supportive,
Yeah.
and it was like pretty obvious. She was like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, do it.
You know, like we have the base, like we had set ourselves up financially, like, all right. So it was pretty obvious, and people told us that, like, you'll know when. Like,
Yeah,
it'll
okay.
just kind of show. And it was just like, I think we were at a show or something, and we had like 3 like big customers that were just like, you want to do this? And it was like, we were driving home, and I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't say yes now, we might as well just quit.
Yeah.
Because like this is gonna get us a few months in, and we'll see what happens, you know. And it's just kind of rolled from there.
That's
you know,
cool.
and just kept growing. And I just reinvested back in the company a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been, I guess, because the engineering side and all that, I've always liked the manufacturing part of it.
Okay.
So I've always pushed that side, like even with the builds, you know, building custom stuff and fabricating, and taught myself how to TIG weld and do all that, and, you know, like in the evenings, and do whatever I had to do to figure it out and build it. you
And
know,
back then, what was the percentage of like manufacturing parts versus full builds?
Very heavily manufacturing, you know, and we just sold on the internet and eBay and all that.
Yeah.
And I would do a build here and there.
Yeah.
And then I would say, when we moved to the new shop, so the shop's gone a few different iterations in growth. So the first one was 2017. We moved from like 24 by 30 shop, 24 by 30 feet. To, and I had a plasma table and other stuff in there. So I said,
Wow.
that's where I could get one little small hot rod.
Yeah, huh.
And then we moved to 3,500 square feet.
Okay.
Then I could take on like 3 or 4 builds.
Yeah.
You know, and full. And so I started doing some custom chassis and some builds and like partials. You know, I would say like half the build or whatever, and then it'd go away. Or I do a bunch of mechanicals or plumbing or, you know, whatever. And then it just kind of grew. And then we got to the point where we're trying to manufacture a bunch and do a bunch of builds. And in this 3,500, we were trying to build like 7-part vehicles and like all the parts and, you know, like back and forth. And I was like, well, this ain't gonna work very well. We need to do something. So in 22, we did another expansion off the same building.
Oh, cool.
And we built 6,000 more square feet.
Wow.
And we're like, okay, here we go.
So you're at 9,000 square feet, basically?
Yeah,
right
we're
now?
almost
Okay.
10,000.
Almost 10,000. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and so then we've changed the old shop into like parts warehousing, shipping, and supporting the manufacturing side in that sense. And then we have the new side that's it's still like chassis manufacturing and like some of the equipment, all the CNC machines and all that stuff. And then we also do the full builds.
Now, is this
But
all under Hell's Gate Garage? Or Hell's Gate Hot Rod? I always say Hell's Gate Garage. Don't know why. Hell's Gate Hot Rods, there's no sub part of the business. It's all the one thing.
It's all Hell's Gate Hot Rods. Yep. Yeah, and so it's like evolved a bunch, and so, you know, sometimes the name's confusing to people. It's like, oh, you just do hot rods. Like, well, no, we do a lot of things, you know, like the
I mean,
past.
but a mini truck is a hot rod now.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Essentially a hot rod.
Yeah,
I mean, anything
or
can
street
be a
rod,
street
or,
rod.
you know.
Yeah.
So the guy that got me big into this, so the area we're from it's called Hell's Canyon.
I was going to ask you how you came up with the name.
Yeah, so it's called Hell's Canyon. It's the deepest canyon in North America. Like, it's Big
interesting.
River Gorge. And so the area I grew up is called Hell's Gate. There's a state park there. There's a bunch of stuff.
okay.
And I guess you call my mentor, like the guy that got me into all this.
The guy you're
Yep.
talking about.
Yep. That was his like name he came up with. It was
Oh,
Hell's
cool.
Gate Hot Rod.
Oh, so he kind of christened you the name.
And so then I called him one day. I was like, "Hey, do you care if I use this for my business?" He's like, "No, this would be awesome." I'm
That's
like,
really
"Sweet."
cool, dude.
Like,
That's
let's
an
do
awesome
this,
story.
you know. So like, he was kind of part of that whole thing.
That's
you know,
really
and
cool.
developing it. So we just kind of ran with it, and I'm not very good at naming things, so it just kind of worked out.
Yeah, no,
you know?
that's
and
really
it had
cool.
a good ring, and you know, like.
Do you ever
learn.
get people who like trip over it? Like, Hell's Gate, what does that mean?
A little bit. I thought there'd be more, but not. And then we learned this place in Canada. It's called Hell's Gate.
Oh, really?
They
Like
buy
a
my shirts
shop,
like crazy.
Oh, is it like
It's like an area.
Oh,
Same thing.
another area. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
I
like
mean,
a geographical area.
Yeah,
and so
there's
they're
all
always
sorts
like,
of things. There's always like the Devil's Punch Bowl or
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
Satan's, like, I don't know. Like, why is everything got to be so aggressive?
like my very first T-shirt. I had designed by a guy, and I said do whatever, whatever, and he kind of played off the Hell's Gate and Heaven Gate kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of like,
that part.
Okay, that's not really, he didn't know, but it worked, and the shirt sold well and everything, but like I guess because I grew up there, I never thought of it that way. I never associated with.
And for me, it was never heard of that, or like, I didn't really know that. So it's kind of interesting. And like when I named my company, because like I'm Custom Life, but my actual screen printing company is called Grease Rags Manufacturing, and I've told this story before, but yeah, so that's like my print shop. It's called Grease Rags Manufacturing. But I named it when I was like 27 years old. So I'm like thinking like, oh, I want this cool, name. And there was another company in Southern California called Fresh Rags. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then at the time I was like really into psychobilly, greaser, like rockabilly stuff. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I want to be Grease Rags. Until now, fast forward almost 20 years later, when I'm trying to like tell someone over the phone my email address, I'm like, it's Grease Rags, and it is so hard to communicate. And I just wish I would have called it like A+ printing or something. Yeah. Or A1 printing, like it was
because it's called Greaser Rags.
Yeah, everybody says Greaser Rags.
Whenever I email them, I read it as Greaser Rags.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's Grease Rags. I don't know. It's very confusing.
So, did you go to like Paso Robles and stuff back in the day?
No, I didn't do any of that stuff.
No?
Actually, it was never.
Like, when it was
funny enough, even though I was like into like that music and stuff, I never really. I dabbled a little bit into it. I grew up like old. My background is in old cars, so I grew up in old cars. But my like formative like automotive culture years were in the mini truck scene. So I never really got to really experience the whole hot rod. I was very much into the traditional hot rods and stuff, lowriders and like late 60s. Lowriders and stuff.
Customs.
So it was like, like customs.
Okay.
So I was very into that culture, but I never got to experience it because I was in a mini truck club. I was like kind of like pretending like I'm in a mini truck club. I drove a mini truck, but I dressed like a greaser. So I don't know. It was kind of a thing.
Yeah. But so I mean, I did. I mean, we're pretty like it started out with the do-it-yourself parts stuff, and so that was pretty like heavy traditional hot rod.
Okay.
And it was kind of early on in the rat rod days.
Yeah, so it was like mid 2000s, that kind of.
Yeah, so we started the business in 2010.
Okay.
So 16
So it's kind of on the tail end of that, because like the really heavy, like traditional hot rod years that I remember were like 2005 to like 2010, 11.
Yeah, so it was like at the start of when it was kind of turning into the rat rods that people know now. So it was before that was like traditional hot rods, which is what I was going after.
Was that what you were into as far as like old hot rods? You were into the
traditional.
Yeah, because like there was that time when everybody thought like a rat rod would just meant like crappy hot rod.
Yeah,
but that wasn't the thing. They were born out of the traditional hot rod scene.
Exactly, they were just unfinished hot rods.
Exactly, yeah.
And like Nick, this guy would like she showed me all the history, and I learned about all that stuff, and like Custom Land, and even into the 50s customs and Barris and Winfield and all those guys, and like I've gone to 2 different Winfield classes and learned from them directly
down Mojave.
We did one at Gambino Customs.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's up north, right?
In Cali.
Yeah, he's like
San Jose
area. He's the Bay Area kind of
so
guy.
We did one there, and then actually Gene came all the way up into Washington
cool.
And did hosted a class up there, like pretty close to us. So we did another one there with like a bunch of our car club and stuff.
That's cool. I only met him like one time. I didn't really like meet him, like get to know him or anything, but he seemed like a pretty cool dude.
He is.
That's
like,
awesome.
Super down to earth, and like he was just, and he would always say like every day is a school day.
Okay.
You could learn something every day. It doesn't matter how old you are or what you're doing, just learn something. And so it was just cool because he would teach the old ways, and like not super stuck on that, like on being traditional built and all that. Like I like the inspired of it, and we were building that way. But it's just the industry's evolved, and I don't want to say it's like, but we kind of have to go where the industry's going, at least enough. And the do-it-yourself stuff is tapering off.
Okay.
And so we're doing full builds, and we're building like custom chassis, one-off stuff for people, hot rods, customs, whatever, installing other people's chassis, and doing all this. And so it kind of just evolved into this. With my engineering brain, I was like,
when you would get
this different,
and when you would get someone else's chassis or get someone else's parts,
yep,
you would kind of sit there and look at them, and
every single company that we installed, and I installed a fair amount of them, there was something that I wanted to improve. And and some of them were bad when I was like, we have to fix this, and I'd fix it for the customer because you're going to hate to drive this thing. But most of them are okay. And most people don't know what they're missing.
That's the biggest thing is like everybody says, oh, it rides like a Cadillac or it does, but you actually never experienced something that rides really good. You've only like if you were to get into a bagged truck or a bagged anything, you would think, oh, this is good, this is cool, because you've never actually had the good and cool,
right? Like unless you've had terrible.
Terrible.
And a lot of people had terrible.
Yeah.
And so that's where like the bags in the industry, especially what I came from, when the street rod side and like the more traditional and the hot rods, even the customs, everyone was getting out of bags because of like shockwaves. And like all these like attempts.
They were like getting kind of soured because of bad parts and bad engineering. They were getting soured. By
everyone was just taking bags and putting them on a Mustang 2 front end.
Well, that's
and
why
Mustang 2 falls apart when you get a bunch of travel into it. When you get that much motion, just like Corvette does. And there's certain GM products and it's good if you use it within the limits. And I guess this is where like my engineering background comes in, and I can I try to understand, and I kind of get deep into the weeds on stuff. And so like I go like, okay, well, why doesn't this work, and all this, and this kind of evolves into like how I met Max Fish.
Okay.
And that's kind of what brought me back into the mini stuff was him. And I was building custom chassis for cars and doing all this stuff, and I was like, I want to change how people view bagged hot rods.
Okay.
So I started designing a Model A chassis, 1928 to 1931 Model A chassis, laid out on bags, but looked traditional. Still had a front straight and ride really good, and had a front straight axle. And hid the bags.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so I developed all this stuff, and then I don't remember even how I learned about Max, but I hit him up and I was like, hey man, can you look at this? And I hear you're really good at the bags. I want to make sure, like, I'm struggling on a couple things on this geometry and he was like, oh yeah, this like it's really good, but change, like, do this or do this. And I was like, well, this bag's not going to work. And he was like, oh, we'll go here. Like, and kind of like, I paid him as a kind of like a consultant to go through and like review what I have done, and like what I'd started, and we kind of evolved it all, and that's just kind of how it started.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And then like him and I clicked really well.
Yeah, you guys have very similar personalities. Yeah, known Max a long time, and you guys have very similar personalities.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe that's why we just hit it off.
Yeah,
so well.
For sure, definitely.
Well, it's the engineering brain.
Yeah,
wanting to know why something works and why it doesn't work, and if it doesn't work, how can we make it work? Not, well, this is fine. This is okay.
Yeah, and I think the deal is like him and I like jive really well, because I viewed it more from a manufacturing constructability standpoint, and he viewed it from I've done this before, and yes, in theory, okay, but this is and so like it kind of works out balancing wise. Yeah. Be like, yeah, that's cool, but I got to build 10 of these, and that's really slow, and that's not cost effective.
Yeah,
so I kind of have to find a middle ground, but then I'll go to him and be like, I'm an engineer. This looks like crap. Can you make it look better for me? He's got that art side or whatever. So
I see. So you're the very practical thinking, and then he's the very like artistic thinking. Yeah.
And even to this day, like I'll send him a screenshot of a design, and I'll be like, dude, this looks like crap. Like, and he's like, oh, just change this line, put an arc here, do that. I'm like, oh, that looks way better. Thank you.
Awesome.
Like I just get stuck. Like I'm very geometric.
Well, and I have a question, and this sounds really dumb, but I'm also really dumb, so you have to bear with me. So like, going to school and learning about engineering, like what do you see in something? Do you see it like a mathematical equation? Do you see it as like a geometric shape, or like what do you see in something that doesn't work correctly from an engineering standpoint? Like where do you start to fix a problem?
Oof. I think it's like from a mechanical standpoint, without getting like too nerdy about it. But
no, hit me with it.
We want to get nerdy.
Yeah, we want to get nerdy.
I literally look at it and be like, okay, the force is going to be here, so it's going to want to break. Okay, so I need to put it over here, or I need like, that bolt's in single shear. I need to figure out the twisting motion. you know, and like these certain things that are, I guess, in that engineering background. It's like, and just kind of the feel for like, gosh, I think that's a little bit small, you know, and like I don't get super in the weeds on actual calculations, you know, on stuff.
But you, like you said, you can see just by your experience and your education, you can see different fail points or where like stress is applied to different points in a suspension.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And just understand like, okay, well, this is, you know, like, oh, well, we're putting this in tension in line, like a tie rod or whatever.
Okay.
Like it's going to fail this way. It's like, that's a tiny little tube and that'll bend. You're like, well, not really. Because it's in tension and compression, and that's where it's strong. You whack something, you whack a curb, that thing is going to fold right in. Well, that's not a normal force. You know, if the wheel, you hit the curb, and the wheel turns all of a sudden, bends your tie rod, yeah, that's going to happen. But if you engineered it to that not happen, it'd be so overbuilt, and it wouldn't really work. You know, and so it's like there's certain things.
You're trying to find a
it's like that thing. It's like the bigger suspension doesn't mean the better suspension.
Yeah,
like Heim joints or
or
shocks. Like people think, oh, I need a shock, this huge shock with this reservoir, or that doesn't mean that it's specifically going to work better. Right.
Yeah, and I think, and that's where another thing that, you know, there with Max is he's all about elegance. And part of it that I have in my brain also is like, man, everything is so overbuilt. And
that's what you're saying is people think just, more welds or thicker metal or bigger, you know, is better. But it's not.
Like, hey, you know, this 3/4 Heim's cool. You know, an 1.5 Johnny joint's going to be better.
Exactly.
Like it is, but it's hideous looking. Yeah. You know,
and it's so completely unnecessary.
It is. It's just overbuilt for no reason. And so I can kind of look at things and be like, yeah, that can look a lot better. Or, you know, it's a balancing act of customer perception as well. You know, you don't want it to make it look too dainty, you know?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, well, that's not going to break.
Yeah.
You're like, actually, it's not. I can show you that it won't break.
You know, funny enough, a little Max Fish story. I remember, do you remember that truck he built like 20 years ago? It was like a long travel, I think it was a Toyota or something. But it was built really well. But it's that same thing. It had very thin bars, like, and you think off-road truck and these big thick bars. So it is this weird like mental state you have to be in. You know, it worked great. It was never going to break.
Yep.
But it just didn't look off-roady.
Yeah.
You know
what
I mean?
If you think about it, the bar is just going up and down. The force is at the two ends, and that the strength is like the pushing of it. It's not going to bend.
Right.
It's
unless you hit something,
unless you hit a
or
rock,
you bottom suspension out.
Yeah,
or
but
like,
also like I had a friend who had an S10, and this dude was always busting links, but they would bust in the middle. They would like take the bar and break it.
Where was the bag at?
And that's the thing is like that's where the smartness comes in. Like this dude just was like, oh no, we'll just throw a bag in there, throw some bars on it.
Well, if you put the bag in the center of the bar.
Well, yeah, I don't know. This was a long time ago.
Well,
I don't know.
A lot of people did that.
Yeah,
they would put the bag.
It's
going to push down like this, but if you move the bag here.
No, this was like just a regular link bar, and it just snapped in the middle.
Yeah.
So some sort of force. He did something, or is applying force in the wrong area, and that's what did it. But what my point is that's where like your side comes from it. Is you have to think about these things. You have to design it properly and understand how like where things are going to break and pressure is going to be.
But also what he was saying is understanding the customer too, because if the customer goes, well, that's such a thin thing, it's going to break, and you're just like, I promise you, it's not going to break.
But you can't convince them if they've
convinced themselves. At that point, you just go like, just throw a big bar in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, all right, we'll bump it up. Like it's fine. It's not worth it.
We'll make it super heavy.
Yeah. So it's just. I don't remember where we're going with it.
No. My next question was, so you went to school for engineering. You were in civil engineering. You were building parts. You opened up a shop. And then you started building hot rods and street rods. What was the transition into mini trucks where you're at now?
Or wait, I have a question before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you ever get that Model A frame dialed in? And
oh yeah, that's what we're talking about.
We did,
and all that. And did you?
Yep. And we manufactured it, and we still manufacture it in production today.
Cool.
Like I said, that scene has really fallen off. And so I wouldn't say we do much with it anymore.
Why do you think it's falling off?
You think it's aging out?
That's what I was going to lead up to that question. I was going to get his opinion first, but
Yeah, so the hot rod stuff is, my customer base. So I used to go to swap meets and all this stuff, and my customer base was 60 to 70. 10 years ago.
Yeah.
No.
And now those guys.
where you're going with
Yeah,
this.
They're not.
you know.
Yeah.
And there was some younger generation like me or whatever, but they were getting more into imports and other things, and I mean, all through college and after college, I mean, all the guys I hung out with were retired.
Right.
So
And it's like they were the ones building and doing this stuff, and so they're the ones that kind of but then it just started.
and this goes back to what you were
fading
talking
out.
about earlier, is the people that do it yourself people are aging out, and your hands being forced into like this thing where it's people aren't doing it themselves.
Yeah, and even on the exhaust side, people, I mean, that used to be a huge thing because, I mean, you had the common ones, small block, big block, Chevy, Ford, okay, you could buy headers for that, but there's so many combinations, like motor placement, in the vehicle, whatever, and it changes the headers all the time. I mean, the headers are normally the last thing to fit, and they're always modifying and cut them, so that was, but now you don't see it. It's like, I don't know. It seems like, I guess it's a little bit more cookie cutter. You don't see as much off the wall stuff on that side of it. I mean, we still sell them, so it's still out there, but it's definitely went down a lot, and so like we still have it and want to like help those people still, because there's no other option, literally. Like, I mean, I just had a guy call me the other day. It's like, I can't find these anywhere. They're the only one that makes them. I'm building this show car. I need them, all this stuff. And I was like, well, call these people. I'm going to be at LSD, so it's going to be a little while. And he's like, I'll just wait. It's cool. Like, he's like, I've looked everywhere. He's like, I looked for 10 years to find the intake.
Oh, wow.
And I finally found it, so now I got to finish the car. And, it's just stuff like that.
What was it? What is it?
So it's a Buick Straight 8 engine.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, like from the 40s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 320 cubic inch inline
Wow.
8-cylinder engine.
Yeah.
So literally the head is 26 inches long.
Yeah, yeah.
It is massive.
I had a 48 with a straight 8 in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
it's actually
cool
a good motor.
Yeah, they're cool cars.
Yeah, and
they're
we
very
used
cool
to
cars.
sell the heck out of the flange. People would build. And we even built some custom exhausts. We didn't do a whole lot of headers just because I said there's so many options. We would if they brought it to the shop, and we still do. But 95% of the stuff we build now is LS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's just the nature of the beast, because that's what's happening.
It's just kind of, but then, I make and could sell a LS flange. I sell like 2 a year.
Yeah.
Because you can buy
The headers already.
Yeah, they're already
know.
ready to go. Everything's
And I
kinda
don't
plug and
blame
play.
people. The only ones that we build or sell are ones that's just they're oddball or they're full custom or something that they want different that they can't fit. And I even tell people, doesn't matter how much the header costs. If you can find it manufactured already, buy it.
Okay.
It will be cheaper than building it custom.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
because it's
yeah.
not one off.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're like, yeah, but they're expensive. No, they're not. Wait until you
Yeah, you
wait
don't know
until you do a
expensive,
custom
yeah.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I was
And
saying.
so
Is like
it's like-
it's almost like a cookie cutter thing when you come from the world of do it
good.
do it yourself. All that becomes like a cookie cutter to people like that. But then the people that are putting LSs in these chassis, that to them is almost like a do it yourself.
Yeah.
So if I go out and buy,
I see what you're saying,
If I go
yeah.
buy a Rev B chassis,
Yeah.
They look like
it's for an LS, and I'm putting it together in my garage. I'm like, I'm doing it myself.
You're doing
Right.
it yourself. You're not just, but what you're saying is you're not out there like custom making exhausts and stuff.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
Yeah. I consider that like bolt on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just from the history
And
of how.
so-
and I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No,
it's
no,
just,
I think it's a great thing because
it's just how it's shifting.
And
Like-
coming from the mini truck world, when I got into the mini trucks in 1995, there was 0 things made for us.
Yeah.
So I looked at the hot rod guys that had certain parts they could get, and I'm like, oh, we don't have
just,
that.
like,
We have
jealous.
to build
Yeah.
that stuff. If we want our trucks laid out on the ground, we're building everything in our garage.
Yep.
And so now it's funny that it's kind of come full circle with them. They all have this. They still have all the parts, and
but it's getting more scarce.
I don't know. I think I said that wrong.
No, and I get the sentiment that you're saying. I get the sentiment that you're saying. But yeah, I find that interesting too, with like the way that things are now, with like C10s and stuff, and like his example.
So you could build a C10 without ever buying a C10.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can build. Yeah, 67, 72.
Yeah,
With nothing.
With nothing. With absolutely never buying anything.
Yeah, and I actually talked to customers about that. I'm like, you're probably actually money ahead. If you're gonna build like a full built truck, you might as well just start with all new stuff.
Yeah, because
it's
none of the panels line up anyways, and if
you go backwards so much with finding,
first finding a good one.
Yeah, and most of the stuff they want to, it's a slippery slope. Because as soon as you don't replace one item or you reuse it, then you notice it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Like we got done doing I don't know, it's probably been a couple years now, a C10 for a customer, and it was like, I'm just gonna build a nice driver and all this, and it just started down that like, just like, oh, now you can't reuse the taillight lenses because they got a scratch in them. And then the pot metal bezel has got a little scratch or a buff, imperfection, and and so then by the time you're like, and by the time of the build, I'm like, here's a trailer full of parts you can go sell.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
From the original truck.
Yeah, from the original truck.
And it's like the entire truck. I've done it several times with, C10 specifically.
Yeah.
And even other ones, and even in like coming from the street rod world, the Tri-5 Chevy. I mean, there's more on the road today than were ever manufactured by GM.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, just because of all the like repop parts,
all the repop bodies and everything.
Yeah,
first
that's
gen
interesting.
First gen Camaro's probably like not far off. Definitely 32 Ford.
Well, yeah, that was always like the very first.
That's
repop.
the very yep.
Yeah.
And so they're well over.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
original. Even hard to tell like what's original and what's like. There are so many of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's something like when I mean, just coming from the hot rod world, like that was the holy grail. If someone had a they called them real steel 32s.
Yep.
Original Henry Ford, like people, and they still bring good money, but you spend so much money getting them back to. You can buy a brand new body way cheaper. So you have to be a hardcore original Ford guy to want that, because you're gonna pay double.
Yeah.
Just for that.
And that goes back to like those guys are going away.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna get to ask your opinion on this whole thing, because like I've been noticing a lot of videos and a lot of people like topics being brought up about how the guys who really like those cars are not going to be around much longer, and so like the value of those cars is going down. So like that 32 Fords, because like the next generation really doesn't like them, you know, like there's
just less.
Yeah, well,
less people that desire.
Well,
them.
yeah, well, like you talk about, like our generation doesn't really have much in common with like a Tri-5 Chevy or like a 32 Ford.
There's
but
no
we have a
emotional
ton.
attachment.
Yeah, but we have a ton of attachment to C10 trucks, to import cars.
Yeah, JDM
stuff, like 90s JDM hero cars and stuff. So like it's it's kind of an interesting part we're in now, because like, are those cars gonna be worth money still? You know, I don't know. I know this is a very scripted example, but it's a guy from Gas Monkey. Like, there's this older guy trying to sell like a 72 CUDA, and it's like a number matching CUDA, 4-speed, blah blah blah. And then the guy tells him like, look, no one wants this car. I'm sorry. He's like, I paid $70,000 for this car. He's like, I'll give you 35 for it right now. You know?
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. Like, don't be afraid of progress, because like you said, JDM cars. Back when Fast and Furious came out in the mid to late 90s, that's what I loved. I loved Honda Civics. I liked things that weren't supposed to go fast that went fast. So if I would go to the drag races and a Camaro would go fast, I'm like, well, it's supposed to go fast. And then a Civic would pull up and keep up with that Camaro,
or
like,
blow the doors off of it.
I'm like, whoa, I'm like, that is cool to me, because that dude had to do so much work just to get even close to this thing that does it stock.
And the market supports that guy, not the
other guy. And it goes back to the mini truck stuff. The market never supported the mini truck guy, so I always connected with that part.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing the people that were so hardcore into those imports.
Yeah, and that's kind of how the business started. Like, I saw the need where everyone's like, oh, all these engines that no one cares about. I mean, so I started out with the Buick Nailhead, if you ever know what that is. I think it's the coolest looking V8 ever made. It's got vertical valve covers. That one in like a
flathead V8, very iconic looking motors.
Exactly. Like, and we're still, my wife, she's got a 31 Model A, and she's putting in a traditional flathead Ford in it.
Oh, nice.
Like, we're building it all traditional. That's what she wants. Like, she's gonna, build it that way. That's cool. I mean, and we're still heavily rooted there, and I still love that stuff, and I'll still always be there. from a business standpoint, and I like a lot of things. So it's hard because I can get excited about, so customers can, and I tell customers, like, what do you do? I was like, anything I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And so, I mean.
Or whatever they're going to pay you to build.
To a degree, though.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I mean, I still limit, if it's not something I'm super excited about.
Oh, you'll be like, eh.
Then I'll be like, I don't think I'm the best person for that.
Because there's going to be someone else that will be excited.
Yeah,
for
'cause
that.
there
that's
might-
a good
rather
point. Yeah.
go
Because
there,
these
yeah.
are, like, I mean, I've learned kind of that, you almost become friends with these guys.
You
or
develop
gals
like
or
a
whoever.
really personal relationship
Yeah.
throughout these builds.
And they're giving you a lot of money.
Right.
And they got to trust you. And I tell them, like, if you can't walk up and hand me $25,000 and not wince from just a, like, trust standpoint, we shouldn't work together.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I have your vehicle in here, and it's worth a lot more than that. And at any point, I could just be like, it's mine, and disappear off the earth.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of a deal. And like, and so, you really get to kind of know your customer. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of got to be, and I don't like interview them or anything, but you can kind of get a
Yeah,
feel.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like the shop at any given point, it wasn't very long ago. I mean, we'll have stuff from the 30s all the way to the 80s in it. And I mean, we got a 240Z in there right now, 1972 240Z.
And now you got mini trucks in there.
We got mini trucks in there.
Yeah.
And people ask, they're just like, what are minis doing in here now? Next to a 39 Merc Custom.
Yeah, this
Right.
this truck that was
like,
$10,000 new.
Uh-huh.
That was it's a gardening truck.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
Like,
landscaper truck.
it's a landscaper truck. It's what
Yeah.
my dad bought to drive from Riverside to LA every single day.
Yeah.
Until it had 250,000, then he would go and buy the next little, we call them heater trucks. Because he would buy the truck with an AM FM radio and a heater.
They call it beater with a heater.
Beater with a heater.
Beater with a heater. I like that.
Yeah. So
cool.
that's because my first truck was one of his old trucks, and then I got his 720, and then he went and bought a 93 Toyota new, and then that thing went through. He just would go through these mini trucks and put tons of miles on them. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
funny
and to me, that's what creates car culture.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's because, like, so a brief kind of background on myself is my family had a vintage car lot growing up, and we sold nothing but vintage cars. So I'm like
nice.
very well like immersed
Well-versed in
in
that.
vintage car culture. And I was like a salesperson, so I would sell cars on my parents' car lot. And all day I would get people coming in, and like that Buick specifically that I was talking about. We had this 48 Buick straight 8 4-door, pretty decent car. And a guy came in and he's like, oh my God. He's like, this is the car I want. I'm like, that's cool, man. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. So when I was 12, my family had this car. And I remember I was playing in the front yard and my dad didn't see me and he ran me over. And it's this like really very unique, interesting story. But that's the car culture. And like what you're talking about your dad's trucks, I think that's what keeps the car culture going, but also evolving. And that's kind of going back to what I was saying before about our generation and older, like hot rods and stuff. Like we don't have any. They're cool. We grew up with them. They were always around. They were there. The old heads drove them and they loved them. But we don't have any like emotional connection to those.
Yeah.
vehicles.
And I used to get laughed at by hot rod guys because I worked in a body shop and suspension shop, a very backyard body shop and suspension. But they had the older cars, 30s and 40s.
And you're driving the Mini. And
I had the mini truck that I would rock up in, and they would make fun of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I like this because I was attached to this.
Yeah.
So I now seeing how much like stuff is with mini trucks. Like now you're building the chassis. Like it makes me excited.
Yeah.
That people are taking these things seriously now.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And then another point that I always bring up about like this whole new generation of like vehicle building and stuff, especially with trucks, is like the guys who are building C10s and on very high end chassis with nice bodies and nice suspension and nice motors. Like these guys are building basically body dropped C10s. Well, when we were young, we were trying to body drop things, trying to figure it out.
Right.
And so like when we were young and someone body dropped their truck, we're like, oh my God,
We always had
dude.
that thing like, bolt-on body drop. We would joke about it.
Yeah, like, but it was like a huge thing. Like, you did it. You body dropped the truck. It's on the ground.
Yeah.
And now these dudes are like, I remember distinctly talking to a guy, and I'm like, oh yeah, your truck is sick, man. It's bag bodied. He's like, what's that?
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's just bagged. And I'm like, no, well, it's body dropped because the body's touching the ground. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
So in the hot rod world, it's called channeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so I came from, I mean, I knew about bodied and stuff, but really in my head, like it was kind of in the mini truck stuff, like there wasn't a bunch of that where I was. There were some, but not a lot of people went like full crazy. It was a little more practical, kind of mini built stuff. And, but I've always known it as channeling.
Yeah.
And then so then you're like, oh yeah, they call it bodied, or like, and that's, I mean, I knew both of them or whatever, but I'm just like, it's the same thing.
Right, yeah.
You channel a hot rod over the frame, so
You're
you don't
dropping
see
the
it.
body.
You're dropping the body, you're cutting the floor out, you're doing that. And then there's like a C10, it's like, that's easy. You can pretty much just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some
Without
of
a
them,
bunch of floor cutting. Like, you don't have to.
some years you can just cut the body mounts and bring them down.
Yeah.
Like, especially like
and
the
full
cat-eye
size stuff's
full
easy
sizes.
compared to, minis, like, and hot rods. So I'm used to everything being like super tight, constrained, nothing ever fitting, like building all the custom stuff. So I think that's part of what like came back to the mini stuff. Was just like, well, that's just, it's still small, it's still tightly compacted.
Now, when
like
coming back to the mini stuff and you getting back into it, how did that even happen? Was it a customer that came to you?
through Max.
Through Max.
Yeah.
Oh, he kind of got you kind of back into trucks?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like, we started talking about stuff and like doing a bunch of the chassis design and I was doing customs and hot rods, and then
He developed that front end kit, right?
correct. Yeah, so
But
I think
he didn't want to repeat that over and over and over
right.
again.
He did one manufacturing run of it and he was like, this is not me.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, like, I didn't know how much you wanted to get into the mud about that stuff, like how that worked out, like you kind of taking over the manufacturing of those, him designing it, you kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a pretty open book, but I mean, he literally called me. He's like, hey, I got a proposal for you.
Oh, okay. So it was more his idea for
It was
you
100% his idea.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you're already making all this stuff. He's like, you could make this kit almost in-house now. And I'm like, I didn't even really know that he made the Tacoma. I mean, I knew kind of it, and he's like, I've made 10 or however many kits he'd made, and he like did a bunch of, pre-orders and did all this stuff. And then he's like, but I think you're well suited to this. And I just want to go back to the custom minis, and I'm like,
yeah, because
Yeah, that might work,
you're already in the manufacturing world. You've done it for so long.
I already had CNC plasma, I had a bunch of manufacturing. Like, I mean, we've grown since then as well. I think that was, when was that? Was that pre-COVID?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was pre-COVID. 2019,
I think so.
maybe,
Yeah.
is when we started the transition. And then so it was like, basically just like, here it is, if you want to purchase it, you can have all the fixtures I've developed so far, I'll give you the rundown, whatever. Like, I drove down there, stayed in the shop for a week, and we went over like how he did it. And I was like, okay, well, this is, and so then.
And were you watching his process and you're like, oh, I could do this a little bit different?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
And I told him, I was like, well, why'd you do that? Because he's like, well, this is why I'm getting a hold of you. He's like,
Yeah.
well, I
because
know how to
he's
build
not-
one.
Yeah. He's
And,
not.
and he knows how to build more than that, but he doesn't have the production equipment.
Okay.
I mean, he's cutting. He was having everything
Does he even
laser
have a
cut out.
does he even
house.
have a plasma kit? That plasma cutter yet?
No.
Or no, he still has a torch. right?
bandsaw and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Drawn
and-
on the ground.
and so he would outsource the laser cutting,
Mm-hmm.
and he had someone do the CAD, and I could already do the CAD design stuff, so I got all the files for it, and I was like, I hope you're not offended, but I'm probably going to change stuff on it. He's like, have at it. It's yours. Like, this is just a base. And, and so that's kind of where the Gen 2 spindle comes into play with the Tacoma stuff, is I kind of reworked everything and kind of brought him into so he was all in the spindle pin, traditional. Those use Mustang 2 style tapered bearings and kind of the old school stuff.
Is that the ones I have?
Yep.
Okay, so I have a very unique set. And I've hit you up
You just
about
had the
it.
first gen.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and there's quite a few out there.
Yeah.
And they work just fine. But from a manufacturing standpoint, it didn't make sense. It actually, so my Gen 2 is actually cheaper to manufacture, and therefore the kit price went down.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, to
Well,
make it.
the interesting part for me was was we were at a show, and Devin, who works for Max, he was like, we were just chopping it up, and I said, I happen to mention I need a set of spindles. He's like, dude, we have a set if you want them. I'm like, yeah. So I went and got them. And then I was in like this unique thing where, because those ones still say F2, F2D on the back of them.
Yeah, they're probably one of the development ones.
Yeah, they're like one of the very...
And that was part of it. He told me, he goes, I'm going to keep a couple sets for stuff. And I'm like,
so I ended up with
care.
one. And so, but now I'm in a unique situation. So I'm like posting about it because that's like what we do. We create content, we post about stuff. So I was like, yeah, thanks, Max. And then Devin hits me up. He's like, hey, man, those are not Max. There's like this weird thing. I said, okay. So I said, hold on. When I say whose spindles are these, whose are they? He's all, they're Andy's. They're Hell's Gate. I'm like, all right, cool. That's all I need to know. but if you look at the back, they say F2D.
Yeah. So yeah, him and I mean, we had a great working relationship. So I mean, and he actually even called me before he sold them to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, hey, Frank wants a set of these. Like, I have them on the shelf. Do you care? And I'm like, I don't care.
Oh, right on. That's cool.
I was just like, whatever. Like, honestly, they need to get sold. I mean, we're sold out of them and have been for a couple years.
Yeah.
I still retain the pins, but those had to be custom machine manufactured. Those spindle pins, and they're replaceable and all that. And so they were well set up. But when I went through it, I was like, man, and some of it was preference, but I was like, I've been doing these full size stuff on unit hub bearings, and I was like, and so then I was telling Max about some of the stuff, and about a year later, I think he came back. He's like, man, I think you converted me. He's like, this is way better. And I was like, it's just more universal. It's better for the customer. I'm always looking at the end result to help the customer. Because
the guy who's got to change the bearings on it.
Because I've been there, and I'm like, I don't want a bunch of like one-off stuff, and I don't want to have people call me and only source it from me.
I see.
Like I want it to be somewhat universal where it can be. So I have kind of a backwards philosophy on how most people build chassis, I guess. And that's kind of what started that whole transition back into all the customer chassis, or like building them myself from customers bringing me stuff and installing and doing all that. Like, cause I kind of work from the outside in. So I start with wheels and tires. Yeah. And then I design inward. And most people are like, hey, I found these A-arms and I found this cross member.
Oh, I see. It's like a mix.
And I'm going to go out, and that's why you see stuff where it's like too wide, and they just make do. Or they're like, I have to use a Mustang rack because that's what's available in the aftermarket. And for better or worse, I'm like, no, that's not the best thing. And so then I go down the rabbit hole, like, where can I find a part that will work? So we're using a rack that very few people use.
Yeah, that's what you're explaining.
Yeah, like they're custom built and they come from the sprint car industry and the racing industry, but I can spec everything I need to.
Are they electronic or are they still?
They're still hydraulic.
Okay.
Yep, but we can affect the rack ratio. We can affect how much power assist is on it. So we can specify the rack width. So every one of my different chassis, not every one, but a lot of them, they have minute differences, and the rack will change. So we'll have like on the mini chassis, it's a 17-inch wide rack from eye to eye.
Yeah, it's really small.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
On a full size, it's like 21 inches, and that's small, and that's narrow for a full size. Yeah. Because I want to get the geometry right and where it is. And so I just start with points in designing it. Like literally on a screen, I'll design like points and then start making points function. And like, okay, this is where I want it to work. This is how I want the geometry to work and function and do all this stuff. Because like I said, it came from this bad view of Mustang 2s getting bag slapped in and everything, cambered out like crazy and bump steering like crazy. Even the traditional stuff, I was trying to correct all that, and people would get bump steer like crazy, and they didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, they just know what it felt like. Yeah.
They just knew, like, oh, I hit railroad tracks and my steering wheel just goes crazy, and just stuff like that. Yeah. And so I'm always like, you got to make it. There's a better way.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's interesting because like the Mustang 2 front end is like the standard for any kind of like hot rod building, but it was never meant to be adjustable.
No. Not at all.
Yeah.
And literally all people were doing was pulling out the springs.
Yeah, and just shoving a bag in there.
And shoving a bag in.
I mean, to be fair, that's what we did for a very, very long time.
Well, I mean, the Mustang 2 stuff was going in hot rods in the what was it? The late 80s, early 90s,
Even mid 80s.
mid 80s.
Yeah.
And there weren't bagging stuff back then.
Yeah.
No,
so they
not
were,
at all.
and so it was fine. So
Yeah,
they're
it
like,
was
"This is
fine
great."
until late 90s, early 2000s.
when they started taking the springs out
and that's
putting
kind of
those-
how the shockwave. I don't know if you guys are
Oh,
familiar
yeah.
with the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
shockwave.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, okay, you can bolt it into where your coilover used to be, but it was you couldn't. I mean, the spring rate was terrible on it. It was internal shock that was just terribly valved and stuff like that. And so it worked in probably the one specific application they designed it for, and that was it. And then it got used everywhere, and there was just, I guess I kind of noticed there was just a lot of copycat stuff in the chassis and suspension industry as far as that concerned. And so I was just like, I'm starting from scratch. These are my parameters. I was so used to it in school. I didn't think it was that odd until you start talking to people. Like what? And I'm like, it's just
because a lot of these builders didn't start there.
I guess,
Yeah.
and so maybe now I'm realizing some of this stuff, like, oh, well, this is just how my brain works. I'm just solving a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because
Like-
and that's like we talk a lot about the importance of like education, because you get like a certain sect of people who kind of think or more like they're more like kind of like teach themselves or learn what am I trying to say, like
they teach themselves or learn by experience, which is
they learn by experience,
which
that's
is
it. Yeah.
completely fine.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a base level of something, because it doesn't matter how much education you have, if you don't learn you're gonna learn more, but with experience.
For sure.
But if you have a base level of knowledge, the experience is just a bonus,
Right.
and it helps to you know what I mean. Then you figure out even more problems.
And then there's some people who think you don't need that at all.
You don't need that at all. And like I get this way in photography all the time. They're like, "What should I do?" I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna just go take a community college course, and they'll teach you how to learn
How to see things
How to
or whatever.
take the camera, because every camera is identical function wise,
Okay, right.
right? So you need to learn how to the exposure, the shutter speed, the f-stop, and all that. So that's the same on all cameras. Go to a community course or a community college and have them teach you about that. Then take that camera in the real world
And apply it.
and apply that.
Yeah.
But if you just go into the real world, you're going to get frustrated and just use your phone, because your phone
That's
does
me
everything
in
for
photography. I don't even know what f-stop is. I was like, that's a weird stuff
that
like
would be
that.
us with suspensions. Like, oh.
Yeah, I'm like, f-stop, auto. There we go. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
We do talk about that a lot. It is important to have a base level of
it
something.
for sure. And I can totally see that when you're saying, because it's like, I have no idea what to do in photography. I know that it says auto and I click go and they turn out okay sometimes.
Yeah.
I like something I'm terrible at. But I guess it's worked out where, and that comes back to like I have that base knowledge. But I try not to be like
Good?
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't want to. Because if I get out of this, it'll still record, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just turn it off.
Yeah, just all right. That's it. Yeah, because
And we're done.
A lot of the. I mean, I don't know much about the suspension industry and different chassis. I know a few chassis companies, but I don't know the owner's background as far as education wise and all that.
And
stuff
I don't
goes.
either. I mean, but it's
So they could know more than I'm saying they know or whatever. But if you just have a guy that bagged a truck one time and then he goes, "I'm going to start a chassis company," and I know that you put air in a bag and it expands this thing. Like, they could just be building stuff completely wrong or half right or whatever.
And then they end up going back and having to learn the stuff anyway.
Yeah. And we don't have like how Australia has, we all talk
you don't
about,
need the engineering and all that.
you don't need that,
Yeah.
which is annoying at some point, but it's also like, it's a little critical if you're going to put something on the street that is going to perform in a, like if you whip it right, it's going to do the thing this way and this way and hit a bump, and it's not going to veer off to the left or whatever.
Right.
And there's like a lot of like trying to make up for that fact too. Like to use a photography example, when I was learning how to take pictures, not that I'm proficient at it now, but when I was learning how to take photos and stuff, everybody told me like, all right, dude, it's just basically manipulating light. And then you try to convince yourself so they're like he's saying, you have to learn these basic things to understand how to manipulate the light. And as a beginner or someone who really doesn't want to do that, you're like, nah, as long as I rely on composition and I'm just take a photo of something cool, it's going to make up for that fact. And it kind of translates to like truck building too. Like people, you need to understand these basic engineering things, but if you don't understand those, it's not going to work. And then people go, as long as I make it look cool, it will be functional. But then what happens is, same thing with me in photography, you have to just go right back and learn those things. You know what I mean? So no matter how much you think you're going to do it right, you just go back to the beginning, you know?
Yeah. Or you just have a terrible driving truck.
Yeah, that's it. Or you take terrible photos for the rest of your life, you know? That's true. That's very true.
I mean, but eventually it'll catch up to you. So if you do start a company with a terrible driving thing,
it doesn't.
You might be successful for a little while, but the consumer will always win in the end. They always dictate where it goes.
And in most of the chassis stuff, you know, there's not like companies that are building like horrendous
trash,
like that's like not safe. You know, I mean that stuff doesn't last. You know, that's mostly the home garage build. Yeah, and there's a ton of it out there.
Talking about,
you know, but a lot of it is like using OEM parts the way they weren't designed is what I've noticed. And not to say, I'm not trying to like say that I build the best thing ever, and I'm not trying to get down that path. Saying like my stuff is so much better than everybody else's. It's just I approach it from a different, like, I don't ever say, okay, I got to use this part. How do I design around it? I say these are my parameters, and this is what I have to do. Now I have to go find a part that works like that.
Oh, that's a really good way to put it.
And it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And that's part of, I think, why, you know, Max and I hit it off at the beginning, because I was like, hey, I want to do this. And, you know, like, especially with the bag thing, I was like, here's my limits of what I want to use on the front of this Model A bagged. I can't find them. He's like, oh, go over here. He goes, get out of the automotive industry. Firestone makes a ton of bags that are for industrial use. So I buy Firestone bags for that chassis that I think are used for industrial machine vibration isolation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
You know, but you can go through the Firestone engineering manual and you can find all their data analysis and testing on all the different bags.
Yeah, so you do your own research, come up with your own data, and then find the best thing that fits in those.
Exactly. So I literally on that chassis, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is it. And just going through that manual saying, okay, here's one, here's an option. Look at the different things. Okay, and so everyone comments, they're like, I have never seen that bag. I was like, you never will.
Right.
On anything else.
Yeah.
Because it's not even in the automotive industry. Like I'm buying it from an industrial supplier. Like I'm searching by bag number, like a long number that's just a Firestone part number. You know, like that's who I'm finding the supplier. And
that's really cool.
And that's how I'm approaching it, is like, okay, that's what I need to do, or this is the closest thing I can.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, it's a 2500 bag. Like that doesn't even mean anything. Like everyone calls them 2500 bags, and it's like that's
it just derives from the pounds of the weight each bag can carry, or something like that. Like
something, but it doesn't even correlate to that. Like I can't even figure it out. Like,
that's how I always thought it was. I think
someone just dictated it a 2500. I think like way back in the day, there was like a Dominator 2500 or something.
To be completely honest with you, it might go all the way back to Gendro when he looked at it 2500. He's like, my truck just weigh 25. I think he actually literally said this, where he's like, this is 2,500 pounds. That truck is less than 2,500 pounds. I bet it could lift it up.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, and like bellow size, like how many bellows, you know, so most common is double convoluted, you know, 2 of them. That's the most common for automotive industry. But they make like 3 and 4 bellow stuff. The one on my Model A is single, but it's not a sleeve bag. It's still a single bellow.
Yep. Have you ever talked to like Nick from Slam Specialties and like just chopped it up about bags and stuff?
Not about bags. Like that's a fairly new business relationship. Him and I, and really it's like Derek and I have more like business interaction than Nick, and I want to get down there and like talk to him, but I know him.
We sat down and talked with him, which still hasn't aired yet because we're waiting on some things. But Nick is just so passionate about what he does, and he's so knowledgeable. So it'd be really interesting to get you two guys together.
Because he just like knows a lot about like rubber.
Yeah,
which, you know what I mean. It's just, and so he took that rubber knowledge and then developed bags. And
and I know him and Max like really got into some stuff like the engineering side of it, and Max was like, this is awesome, like, and so he's the one that actually got me into Slam.
Oh, cool.
I was using pretty much all Firestone stuff, and he was like, man, you really got to look at Slam, like they got some good stuff. You You know, he's
But
like,
again,
they don't have the data that Firestone does.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's true.
You know, and so, but they had like the track record and like the practical knowledge or like just the use case, you know, this is what works, you know, and then so it's like, well, I'll try anything, you know, like, and I do a lot of building and prototyping on my own stuff or whatever I can do before I put it out there to a customer. Like, I want to make sure like this works. Like, so I'm on all kinds of sidetracks, but 2018, have you ever seen Hydroshocks?
No, I have not.
Mittler Brothers Hydroshocks.
Yep.
So they came out in, I don't know, 17, 18, 16, somewhere in there. And they're a coil spring with a hydraulic cylinder on top of them.
Oh, yeah.
There's a truck here at this show.
Finnegan has them on his C10.
Yeah, Finnegan's got a C10 on them. IRS, that Jimmy Bullard did. So I got plugged in with Jimmy at the beginning and Mittler Brothers, and I was like, these things are cool.
Oh, right. Cool.
And so it's a coil spring with a hydraulic cylinder on top. So the hydraulic cylinder's only purpose is to change the length of the shock, or basically a coilover, eye-to-eye length. So all it's doing is adjustable ride height. All your suspension is on the spring.
Still like a stock spring?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you
Or
can
stockish.
specify a spring rate and all that. And I was like, this is brilliant. Because with airbags, what people don't like is that when they're super low, they're soft. When they're super high, they're hard.
Yeah, there's infinite spring rate. There's no, you
design it for one location to be right, and everything else is a compromise.
Right.
Spring rate.
That's why the shocks are so
handling.
important.
Yep.
And that's why I always think that people no one does shocks correctly. Very few people do shocks correctly.
Correct.
It's almost a last minute thing.
Yeah.
I know it was like on the Toyota that we built, the giveaway truck.
Yeah.
I was at AutoZone and I'm on the phone and I was like, all right, we need eyelet to eyelet. They need to compress to this length and they need to go, you know what I mean? Stroke to this length. So I was just like, see those Nissan Frontier ones. I'm measuring them.
Yeah.
Nope, that won't work.
won't
Let me
work.
see those same ones, but in 4x4. All right, these will work.
These will work,
But
yeah.
they're way too stiff. And they're, you know what I mean? They're
But only
going to be...
not only on one side though, probably like bound, not rebound, or
Exactly.
You
So
know, like
they're going to be fine for the application that they're in, but they're not going to ever be perfect,
right.
or even close to perfect.
Yep.
And then so I see these like C10 guys, and they're like, "Okay, here's the shock, and this will work for."
Because they're looking at eye to eye.
They're looking at eye to eye, and it'll work for this 18-inch wheel that weighs this much. And then they're like, okay, well, I'm going to put this 24-inch wheel that weighs this much, and it just changes everything about the whole suspension.
Yep. And that's, that goes back down to that path. So, like, on this new mini truck chassis, and probably the last 4 or 5 years or so, we had been using a company that takes Bilsteins and revalves them to specific applications. So I would call them and be like, hey, this is the type of suspension. Here's the rough weight of the vehicle and how I have it cantilevered or leveraged, or this is my motion ratio, and they're like, oh, well, like we recommend this shock. They've done all the research. It's all proprietary kind of a deal. Now we have that, and that's like on the Tacoma kits, on the front kit that we got from Max, and it's developed to have a shock that's been figured out for that.
Okay.
On that Tacoma for that weight and all that, and they valve it, and it's still a Bilstein. Now we've moved into, on a more like the premium and the full chassis is an actual tunable shock.
Oh, cool.
So we'll tear that
Is
down.
Is it that got like the knob, or do you
Nope,
change
it's
the...
internal.
Oh, yeah, so you pull it apart,
we
change
pull it
the
apart,
valving.
and then change the valving and the shim pack. And literally some of it's going to be us like drilling a bleed hole in the shim pack.
Very off-road. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
And Max is very good at this. And so, I'm still learning the shock tuning part of it. That's something I don't know a whole lot about, and I'm leaning on him like, hey man, can you teach me more of this? Because I'm not afraid to say I don't know it.
No, for sure.
And then I'll go figure it out and I'll learn it, and then I'll move on because I'm like, that's how I've learned everything, So shock tuning is the next step in all our stuff. Like I got the suspension, that stuff. I kind of got my parameters figured out where I like it to be, what works, what doesn't, the camber where I want it, and and it's different from, you know, how other people want it and things like that. You know, I don't like a very heavy camber curve, so I don't like a lot of camber change.
Okay.
But I don't want it to be. There's got to be
Completely straight.
some,
It's
but I
gotta
don't
be,
want it
yeah.
to be completely straight up.
Right,
and
right.
that's hard to do, and like especially with the long travel. You know, what I call long travel, but you know, like 9 inches of lift is what we're getting.
Wow,
you know,
that's-
out of 9 or 10 inches out of a chassis.
I always thought that was interesting when people would brag about trucks. They're like, yeah, man, the wheels are always straight. When it lays out, the wheels are completely straight. Well, I don't think that's not supposed to be like that.
It also
Yeah.
doesn't look right
It doesn't look
to
right
me.
either. Yeah.
There has to be a little kick in
There
it.
has to be a little bit, but what they don't understand with that is it probably goes positive at some point.
when they lift it up,
which
it
is
goes up.
terrible.
Yeah.
So there's certain chassis designs that or geometry where you can get where it's like looks good, goes into positive, and then back into negative.
Oh, okay.
And so if you're not conscious of that, and I mean when I'm fiddling around designing a new chassis, I'll like punch in some, you know, in my little line drawing and stuff and do it and be like, oh, that looks good, and then you look, oh, like there's a range in there where it pops in positive, like, okay, I gotta change that. Like, because those are the dangerous parts where you're like, it does this weird thing in the travel and I can't figure out why. It's probably something like that. You know, and there's IFS stuff is like, it's pretty complicated. Like it's been a long learning curve for me.
Well, yeah.
To get there.
And that's
Like,
what
rear
everybody
stuff
messes up. You know, like
well, it's just you got steering, you got camber, you got caster,
And that's why
you have scrub
Tacomas.
radius, you got
That's why Tacomas are a great thing to develop a kit for because they're all messed up.
because they're terrible outside of factory.
Yes.
You know, pre-Tacoma, not so bad. You can get away with arms and stock spindles and stuff. You know, the first gen Tacoma and everything, they try to do like they try to do the ball joint flip. You know, and then
They try to
really
try to space the bottom out.
yeah.
And it doesn't
try
work.
to-
There's
You're just gonna stress out everything else in that.
right.
Like because you're just
And I guess it's just kind of a compromise. or
it is a
I don't know,
compromise.
like,
Yeah.
it's
But if you're
Band-Aid.
spacing the bottom out, your arms just went like this one didn't move and this one moved. So
Yeah.
when that thing travels, it's gonna push and pull on certain things. And people
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, I broke my bottom bolt. Those 2 bolts that go in."
Yeah.
They're like,
I know someone who breaks a ton of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
keep breaking
Yeah.
it. I'm like, that's because it's it's pushing. It's doing this.
Yeah.
You
You,
know what I
made
mean?
a drop spindle, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're trying to do is move that.
Yeah.
well,
move that wheel
before I
mounting
had
face
seen your spindles, I'd actually never seen a welded, like fully welded drop spindle for a Tacoma. They've always been those spacers.
Yeah.
And there's even companies that still make those spacers
Yeah.
as a product.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you have to move the spud of the spindle
Yep.
in up without moving the arms up
Exactly.
or doing weird
Yep.
things.
And when I design from scratch on the stuff, you know, I can dictate ball joint to ball joint height, you know, where the upper arm and where the lower arm comes into the spindle. Not only where it comes in relation to the wheel mounting, like a drop spindle or not, but I can also like what that ball joint spacing is, like a stock Titan. You know, their spindle
Yeah,
is
they're
like
super long.
super tall, right? Because you know the OEMs, they knew that like we need this huge ball joint spread to get it to function where it is. You know, and then scrub radius, so like there's an inclination on the spindle itself of if you draw a line between the upper ball joint and the lower ball joint where it hits the ground at the tire, that affects how it feels when it steers. It's called scrub radius. And so a lot of people just ignore that and they're like, man, this steers like super tight, like it wants to go back or it wants to, you know, it's a leverage. It's kind of like the putting the spacer in there all of a sudden, and it comes back to the engineering. It's easy for my brain to figure out where it's like it's just a big lever arm. You got to handle this long or you got to handle this long. You know, it affects on how it feels, right? You have a short ratchet or a long ratchet. You know, how much force does that take to break it versus, you know, it's pretty easy with a cheater bar to break a socket. You couldn't break it with a little tiny one. You know, and so it's the same thing. You know, so all these little things affect how it drives.
Right.
But I have to learn and figure out what that is and how it affects it.
And
you know?
so when I hear someone, and I've heard this many times throughout this whole thing that we do, yeah, man, I'm just going to build a full chassis for it in my garage. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like that's why everybody does 3/4 chassis, because front suspensions, like unless you know
it's
what
almost
you're doing,
there. Like
Yeah.
like the Toyota stuff, like pre-Tacoma stuff is
You can get away with it.
You can get away like
Yep.
the green truck and then Eric's red truck. Like if you run an 18-inch wheel or smaller, and we just put a drop spindle on it and leave the factory arms, and you can mess with the tie rods a little bit and extend them and stuff to do stuff, but they're pretty close.
Yeah.
You can get them pretty close.
No, I'm
And
talking
that's
about
why no one's ever made a bunch of stuff for pre-Tacoma. It's because it's not bad enough for people to get worked up about it or like spend enough money, you know.
Well, I'm talking about there's like I've heard before from people like building they just want to start with frame rails and build their own arms, like own upper and lower arms and build like literally create a chassis from nothing. And I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work, dude, because unless you have your knowledge, it's not gonna work. Something's gonna be wrong. But I think what happens is like you said earlier, one guy did it and it functions, like it goes down the road,
right.
but doesn't mean it does it well, you know.
Right.
But then now that guy did it, so I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And then there's all these like people who get wrapped up in doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot.
And then how much are they actually going to drive it?
Yeah.
So it's just like,
and then after driving it a few times, they're going to be like, I don't want to drive this piece.
or they
of
drove it on the trailer and then drove it around LST,
Right.
and they're going very slow, so they can turn.
Yeah, they're like, it works fine. You're
Exactly.
like, go on the freeway at 80
Yeah.
and see how it is.
I've developed a new thing that I don't say much, but like you were saying earlier, like everybody wants it. I want it to ride like a Cadillac. I said, what my thinking is, I said, I want it to ride better than stock. Like
I want it to ride it like a BMW 7 Series, not like a Cadillac.
Well, yeah,
I don't want it to
but-
float down the road. I want it.
My point is, I'm not trying to say a specific vehicle. I just want it to perform better than perform like stock or better.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And going back to that, when you say that, going back to that Hydroshock thing. So we started developing, when the Hydroshocks came out, I saw them and I was like, I want to build a chassis with those. Like, that is cool because it's set spring rate no matter what your height is. So I built a chassis for a 47 to 55 Chevy pickup.
Is that the one that you race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I built it and I was like, but this is for performance based. And so this kind of goes back to a couple of things, but your whole like building suspension from scratch. So I designed like, okay, we're going to do an old school truck chassis that can be performance based, but still be adjustable. Mm-hmm. So it lays the running boards on the ground, but I autocross it.
That's cool.
And do some stuff. So, and I left it all patinaed and everything. So I show up to an event and people are like, oh, look at that farm truck. That's kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
And then you get done and I'll never forget the first time I went and raced it. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not a driver. I have to, like I said, I build my stuff and figure it out and make sure, you know, that it's
Was that
good.
the one you came down in Arizona?
Yeah. So that was not my first race, but that truck was pretty new.
Yeah. The guy that hosted that event,
Arnie.
Yeah. Did you see him at LSC?
I did.
Yeah.
We stopped and said hello
GSI
and
over
everything.
there,
Yep. Exactly. So that was my first big event.
Mm-hmm. That's when I first, because I was filming that event.
Okay.
And
That's
I was
the first
like,
time you saw it.
I was like, that truck is sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, that's right up my alley. I was like, yeah. I actually have footage of that.
So
of me
that was
racing
like
that
my
event.
second race ever. And there was like 80 trucks. Pro Touring Truck Shootout is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 21.
Yeah.
Where was that one? I'm sorry, I missed that part. Where,
Arizona.
Wild Horse.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that. Yeah, okay.
They brought it to the West Coast from the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I think there was 80 trucks entered. And this was my second autocross event ever. I had built a chassis. We had shown it. COVID hit. And I was like, well, I guess we're building the whole truck.
That was the mask. That was the mask event too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, everyone was like, yeah.
So I built the whole truck during COVID because the chassis wasn't going to shows. It wasn't doing anything. And I was like, I can't just let it sit in the shop. So we built the whole truck, put an LS in it. And I was like, I'm going to go just beat the living crap out of this thing and break it.
Nice.
And see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, it's full IRS in the back. So independent rear suspension designed from scratch and front and on hydroshocks. So it lays out and then can be performance based.
That's so cool.
So we go to this event and I'm like, I want someone that can actually drive this truck and tell me how it is. Mm-hmm. I never got anyone in it that could, you know, but out of 80 trucks, I think I got like 18th.
Oh, wow.
And that
was your first one?
That was my second
one
event ever.
Oh, wow.
You know, I was like, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah,
you know?
dude.
And everyone like Tyler, he shoots for Good Guys and stuff. He did a whole feature video, 315.
Oh
Square.
yeah. He's here this weekend too.
Yeah, I saw him
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to him. He did this like 30-minute YouTube feature on that truck. He just saw it and he was like, dude, this thing
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah.
Like, so I got to kind of, show people what it was. And I was just trying to like, hey, this is something new, But going back to that whole suspension thing, I designed that for performance. And so the front A-arms have what I call a split dog bone. So they have a little tiny mini dog bone on the upper A-arm that mounts to the frame. You always see a big long one, right, that goes across both sides. So I made 2 little ones, and they were offset forward and backwards, and then I made 2 different holes. So it offset the arm. You could be one position, which I call cruise, and then you could go to performance, and it moved it in and up a 1/4 inch. And that changed the camber curve from 3 degrees to 6.5. So in that little movement of the upper arm, the camber changes 3.5 degrees in.
And that's what you're saying.
In
kind
that
of
whole
to
thing.
go back to the example of the ratchet, like it's just like little different
Little
things.
changes make a big difference.
Right.
So I'm moving that arm that little bit, and that truck is like on rails.
That's cool.
Like it's all cambered out, but it's like race truck mode.
Yeah.
Like it's sticking. And I'm trying to find the limit of where it's at, and what's going on. And I'm just trying to I'm just experimenting.
Yeah.
So I'm changing all kinds of stuff on the suspension. And I didn't do a whole lot at that event, but since then, and I still drive the truck. I still own it. I still
Mess around with it.
I still race it,
That's cool.
on occasion, not as much anymore, but it's a good thing that just helps me.
And you went out there to break it. Did you break it?
No,
No, hey, dude.
I have broke it,
Yeah.
but
That's sick. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this mini truck chassis.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah,
That's
we
gonna
got
be my
long-
next thing is going from building the front suspension parts to now we're just gonna. I have 2 questions about it basically, which is one.
Can I have it? No.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
No,
Anyone can have it.
Do you have money?
We are a business. We are offering this to the public.
Yeah. It's not like some secret on how to acquire one of these things. I'll just give me money.
Yeah.
No, what I was
Pretty
going to say is
straightforward.
you deciding to go from just building the front suspension parts or like a back kit to a full kit. And do you see a future where you're going to be selling a lot of these? Because how many guys are going to actually buy this thing?
Another big question.
That is a big question.
Yeah.
And
That's what you're trying to figure out this weekend, basically.
yeah, and it was just kind of leap of faith. I asked around. I talked to Brian. I talked with Max. I talked with some people, and I'm like, I'm getting requests for this. From the kit, people are like, is there going to be a full chassis? A couple other, guys that were building trucks, and it just kind of kept popping up. And I was like, well, what do I do? And I'm a fan of chassis from a standpoint, from the end use. I think it's a better overall product for the customer. And I always go back to that. I understand, and I come from the do-it-yourself background. So I sympathize with that because chassis are expensive. And it's one chunk at one time. It's not easy to stomach. It's not a I'm gonna go to a show. Oh yeah, I bought a chassis today.
Right. Yeah.
It's not.
It's not like going to buy some compressors and a.
Or
Yeah,
we're going to give a guy $5,000 down. He buys your steel, get into the thing a couple of weeks, and then
Yeah, and you get a bill, and
It's-
and that's where the kits came in, right? Someone could buy a front IFS kit, put it on, do some stuff over a month or whatever in their garage, and then they could get a back half or build their own back half. Most people are okay with doing a rear suspension. They're, solid axle. It's a lot easier. There's books out there.
Yeah, there's one.
There's one good one.
Yeah, one good one.
And stuff like that. So the front was the big thing, and then we make a booster delete kit and a rear brake. And so we've developed stuff for Tacoma, and then it's you know what?
Let's just do the whole
Let's
thing.
just consolidate all this. Because started out, Max had lots of good options. Stock Tacoma brakes, stock width, narrowed track width, some stuff. And I'm I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. From a manufacturing standpoint, it's tough to have too many options.
Right.
And then I let it roll for a couple of years, and it was 95% of people wanted Willwoods.
Yeah, because what you're saying is you had 2 options for the front IFS kit.
More than that, yeah.
Okay, well, I know the 2 that were probably the most popular was the one you can use the stock brakes with.
Yep.
Which was the 2-inch, Like a 2-inch spindle, right?
Well, it's a stock track width.
Okay, stock track width.
Yep. And then a narrow track width, which you had to use Willwood brakes.
Yes. And the reason my truck is getting painted this year and not last year is because I had to save some pennies to buy the kit.
Exactly.
But I knew I couldn't drive my truck on 20-inch wheels.
Yep.
Because I knew what was going to happen. And I was going to clip a fender. I wasn't going to be able to lift high enough to get into a driveway one day, and I was going to rip a fender, and I was going to get really mad. So what mine did is it narrowed the track width. How much on each side? 1 inch on each side?
Yep. 2-inch total.
2-inch total.
Yep.
And it gave me 9 inches of lift versus what I had.
Yep.
So it cleared my fender on 20s, and it brought the stuff in so I could drive lower. And
Exactly.
and
It
all
actually
that
lifts it
stuff.
up higher than factory.
Yeah. So like it did everything that I needed it to do. But you had the two options, but most people went with the
95% of people
Yeah.
picked the narrow track width with Willwood brakes and like, I guess what do you say, like all the cool kid stuff. You know,
Yeah.
like they would just option it out and be like, if I'm gonna do it, let's just do it.
Yeah, and that's
you know,
sort
like
of how the C10 guys are. They're very similar in that way.
and not from like they're like, I just want it to drive like
Yeah.
really well. And
So as
I want
from a
to
manufacturing point of view, you're just like, well, why am I offering the one that
Yep.
only 5% of the people? Yeah.
Exactly, and I get every once in a while someone will hit, oh, can we use stock brakes? Yeah, not really, because I mean everyone that's bagging them wants an 18 or a 20, and they want good brakes. And then you're also gonna delete the booster to clear the tire and turning. So now you're going to manual brakes, which are great, but you need a better brake to help with that to compensate
I see.
For the
Just-
lack of boost.
for the lack of boost. Like it has more stopping power with less force when you have bigger brakes and more pistons.
I see.
You know, it's just math. It's hydraulic pressure.
Yeah.
you
And
know,
anyone that
so-
bought the stock one, they're like, oh, I don't want the Willwoods. Then they get into their build and they're
Yeah.
like,
And
I
they
should
call
get
an
bigger
upgrade.
brakes.
Exactly. And a lot of people will then upgrade, and so it's like, you know what? Let's just kind of help the customer out and be like, yeah, you just don't really want that. Like you're gonna end up going back, and you know, and so we just kind of slim that down, and then but everyone is just like optioning and buying everything, and I'm like, you're most of the way to a chassis.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, but then they're having to Z the front. Do the back, cut it off. They're
Figure out the rack that you've already figured out.
yeah, a lot of them would keep the rack because our kit, you know. But then there's other issues that arise. Then you got to drop the motor, and do other things. And customers are, you know, like mini truck guys
Mini truckers are used to that.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a big deal. But I'm like, you know, and the tipping point for me on the chassis was stock floor body dropped.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I was like doing, you know, measuring, and I'm like, we gained 2 inches of body drop with no cutting of the cab floor. Just by going down to that mandrel bent 2x3 rail, putting it in a location where it can kind of tuck up in the floor, you know, and do all that. And so I was like, but if I'm going to do this, I want it to fit more than one application if I can. I won't sacrifice design to make it fit on multiple things, but so it's kind of been in the works for about a year. I scanned a Tacoma, like a 3D scanner. So I have like a 3D scanner where I can scan a whole vehicle. So I scanned a pre-Tacoma, a Tacoma, and a Mazda. And then I wanted to get a hard body,
Yeah.
but I couldn't get one in time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't afford to get too deep into the prototyping. You know, I gotta stop at some point because
Yeah.
I get
Yeah,
like
yeah.
deep into the wheel.
Yeah,
Like,
you
know,
could
like,
get it way into it
I
if you
could
wanted
get,
to.
you know, I'm like, and Tacomas are the most popular. So let's start there and see where the market is. So I'm still on a limb.
Yeah.
out
Just
there.
so this
Well, so when you
jury's still out.
when you scan those three, were they pretty within spec like of each other? Like was the Mazda farther out or?
You know, they're all close enough that so when I did one and I was like, oh, this works, and then I think I started with the pre-Tacoma because that was the customer, the first customer that we had. We have a 90, it's like 92 or 93 pickup, and so we're starting to build one for that. And I was like, I'm gonna throw a Tacoma scan on top of it, and like, oh, if we just move this and do this, it'll
It
fit
could work.
both.
Oh, cool.
And then you put the Mazda on there, you're like, yeah, I think we can make this work. So I'm pretty sure all three will work. I don't know about the Mazda 100%. But I'm like, hey, it'll fit Tacoma, pre-Tacoma. and I actually have like on my computer the scans I can like turn off and on those two body scans.
Oh, like layer them.
Yeah, and you can see, and you're like, wow, that one's way smaller. Pre-Tacoma is way smaller than a Tacoma on just even body height and things. But like wheelbase is easy to change for us.
Yeah, I was gonna say between an extra cab and a standard cab is.
Yeah, and we're bending those rails in house now.
Oh, cool.
I just got that machine a couple months ago.
Oh, nice.
You could just
That was
sell them.
always
You
the
could just sell them in
biggest
two pieces with holes,
Yeah,
and then a center section, and then you just pull two bolts out, and you just slide the chassis into each other.
Yeah,
and then just put
like
the hole-
telescoping chassis.
there's a few of them that do that.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
I have my opinions.
So this is all.
That's for the
just-
post podcast.
Yeah.
So this is all. So basically, where you're at now is just feeling everything out. You know, you.
I mean, I'm hoping it's more than that.
Well, yeah.
I'm deep in it now.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
You
see.
know,
He's past the field.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like
I'm
it's done
invested.
felt.
I'm invested.
Right on.
I made the leap.
What's the?
So-
I mean, it's only been one day. It's only Friday, and it was kind of slower today. But what's the reaction to it? What's been the
It's pretty good.
pretty good reception?
There's more people than I expected walked up and said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're doing something for minis."
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Like no one does anything for minis. I'm so sick of C10s.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm kind of hoping.
We're looking at you, Parker. Josh Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking to him?
Yeah, there was a few of them, and like, another group came up, and the guy was like, "We heard you were up here and had a mini." He was like, "I think you just changed our plans."
Oh, cool.
Yes.
I was like, "Cool." He's like, "We got to talk about it still." You know, him and his wife or whatever. And he's like, "But it's her truck, so she got to decide." And she's like, "This is awesome." She's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the way we're going. You know,
It's
and
it.
it's just like. And I understand that there's gonna be a lag because of that, but
Well,
you know,
yeah, and then like how many of those are going to translate into actual sales, kind of thing.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You know, but I'm
Tire
hoping
kickers versus
Yeah.
we're going to put this under the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, you know, I mean, I kind of like being the first one out there to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes it harder because I got to pave the way, and kind of like it's a little easier if the market's developed. But I don't think it's necessarily not the market developed. It's just people hearing about us. Like I'm a terrible marketer. I'm an engineer. I'm a nerd. I don't like the camera.
What you
like-
really need is you need the perfect person who has a Tacoma, who goes to a lot of shows and travels the country and talks to a lot of people. I don't know who that would be.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if that person existed, that would be a very good candidate.
He also does videos.
Oh, he makes videos and stuff.
Maybe a podcast.
And do podcasts. It's me. I'm talking about me. No.
Man, I've heard that like 5 times today. You know, you need the perfect person.
Lock the door.
I bet you a bunch of people came up to you today like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Well, so we made a post on Instagram about it, you know, and it's just like,
Oh, when you
Like-
made because you made the
Oh, when you
post
made
about
yeah.
which is funny because you made this post about hey, I want someone that's about to build a truck.
Yep.
That wants to
completely
go,
stock.
completely stocked, untouched. Bring the truck to me. I'll give you a deal on the first chassis as if I can use it for R&D. And then everyone was tagging you.
Yeah, we was
and
tagging
then
me. Yeah, I heard that.
People were messaging you and with their like already bagged truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. You're like, that's not what I said.
I was like, come on, Reed. You know, like I was like, I understand you're excited. I appreciate it. And I would tell the people like, that's really cool. I can't use it for development. I want 100% stock because I want to know what has to be modified. Somebody's like, well, I just cut the bed floor. Yeah, that doesn't help me.
it doesn't
Yeah.
help you.
Because I want 100% know what customers have to. And I just got done building this orange Tacoma, our shop truck, with all the kit and doing the YouTube and like featuring all that stuff. And I was like, man, I can't like dive right back into another one, you know, for me personally and do all that. And there was like a bunch of interest. I was like, you know, someone's going to get a smoking deal on this. And so I ended up getting 2 customers
That's awesome.
from that event, like, you know, that whole
Yeah.
roll. And so we're doing a pre-Tacoma and a Tacoma,
Oh, cool.
both standard cab short beds. But
Very
that'll
cool.
give me a good idea. And so I think we can just change cab mounts, bed mounts, and all the actual suspension geometry and everything fits both. The pre-Tacoma will be
Now, when you say pre-Tacoma, have you talked about the 84 to 88s? Because they are, the same thing are they the same as an 89 to 95?
Similar. Very
similar. Yeah.
Yep. And I did, my welder at the shop that does all our TIG welding now, he does it full time. I don't do any of it anymore. He owns one of those. He's like, dude, I'll bring it to work one day. Cool. And I was like, I'm going to scan it. I was like, I'm going to bring it to work and we're going to scan that. Yeah, and he's like, that's cool, you know.
Heck yeah.
Well, there was one at Trevor's at Pandabuilt. He was doing that 84 to 88 where they took the Forerunner body and did that.
Made it like a unibody.
And then we had that next to Eric's, the red truck. Mm-hmm. And we were looking at him all, this is almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was scanning it with my 3D eye.
You're just like, we got it.
Yeah.
Just send me the data.
Yeah. It'll work.
Yeah.
It'll work. Yeah. Ryan says it'll work.
Yeah.
We're rolling.
Yeah.
We're just going for it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's it's really exciting. And it's almost like we were talking about the do-it-yourselfers and the people that like start with just some metal and figure it out. You're actually like, you're developing these things and all these other chassis companies too, but we're talking about mini trucks here. So to help these guys do it themselves in the garage.
Yeah.
So
and give them something attainable, I guess. And I want the level of builds. I want to change the mini trucker
mentality.
Mantra of like, oh, it's just a mini truck. It's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's built so crappy. You know, it's like, no, you can have a nice driving mini and something you're like, I'm proud of this thing. Like, and it's not uncommon now to put it under a chassis, and people see that, you know, and they see the value in it. And especially when we get into the stock floor body drop, if they got to pay somebody to do that, plus buy our kit.
You're talking
He's about to pay someone to do a stock floor body drop, and when it comes to prices, it's like it is pretty pricey, and the price is the time, right? And you're saving yourself the time. If you can unbolt your Tacoma bed and everything like that and roll that chassis out and then roll this chassis in. I mean, it's not like 100%.
Not 100%.
But it's going to save you a lot of time.
But if you only have to cut where the transmission's at, you know, I think on the first gen Tacoma, that's going to be the sticking point.
That's sort of what Trevor was like.
Is the center hump is going to have a small portion cut out. And then possibly a little bit for the drive line in the rear of the cab. Okay. But, you know, as I was thinking about it and going through, and at one point I was like super bummed when I was like, man, I can't make this work with a completely stock floor, and called Max, and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And he's like, dude, you know how far, like, you were so close to, I mean, cutting a transmission tunnel and a little bit in the back is nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I wanted it to be like zero cutting. Like, it's like zero.
Yeah.
And he's like, it doesn't physically fit.
Right.
He says, go lay the truck on the pinch and try to slide the tranny in. And I'm like, well, you're right. You can't change physics. The transmission is physically bigger at the tail than the hump in the cab.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who develops a chassis, what happens, that has to be cut.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, good point.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you're dealing
you
with,
can't get around that.
You're still dealing with mini truckers who are going to, like, your chassis it's a 2x3 rail, so it's developed to lay pinch.
Yep.
And the people I've talked to are like, no, I want to lay rocker.
I know.
So they're going to figure out a way to lay rocker, and they're gonna have to channel it.
And they're going to be perfectly fine with that.
And they're going to be like, no, this is sick.
Yes,
that's fine.
perfect.
It's
not driving a tuna can anymore.
Yeah.
And they're like, so they got to cut and add, you know, and figure out another inch.
Yeah.
Same
instead of 3 or 3.5.
Right.
And same with exhaust. It's like, you know,
have you ever
exhaust.
driven a traditional body drop truck? Like a standard cab, traditional body drop, anything?
Well, hot rod.
No, but like a mini truck.
No.
It sucks. It's the worst thing in the world.
It's probably not that bad.
Right.
I daily drove my standard. Do you want to know what makes it worse? Bucket seats. If you keep a bench seat in a standard, it is. And I had two. My Tacoma was a standard cab to the rocker truck that I dailied, and it was totally fine. Bench seat. I drove a 95 or 92 OBS standard cab traditional body drop truck with a bench seat, and it was totally fine.
Fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I had a hard body that was body dropped and it sucked.
Did you do the body drop?
No. I bought a
See,
piece
that's
of
the thing.
crap.
Yeah.
I did the body drop, so I made it
So
to
you
where
knew
like
how where-
Yeah.
But see,
And-
you probably came back and then dropped back down after the rail or did some stuff to kind of give you a little more
No,
room.
this is what it is. If you're a big guy, you have a bench seat, and that bench seat gets beat down.
You're sitting on the floor.
You
You have taken that
custom tailored it to your needs.
After driving a long time, you're doing this, and it just gets that down. But no, a bench seat is the way to go. You try to put bucket seats, like the Civic bucket seats, it's terrible.
Makes it worse.
Makes
You
it
just-
worse. You think it makes it better. It does not.
Well, it's like I have a hot rod, 37 Dodge, fenderless, chopped, channeled, like all cut up, and it's the same thing. Like, you know, we drive it, and I'm all hunched up. You know, my knees are up in my chest, and we're all, you know,
it's not comfortable.
You get 300 miles in, you're like,
Yeah.
I
No,
don't want to
see,
be in this thing anymore. You
Yeah.
know, kind of a deal. But you put up with it for the cool.
And you also can
and
adjust.
that's where
You also can adjust pedals. So one of the biggest uncomfortable things in a mini truck standard cab is your pedals. And a lot of people's pedals are your clutch is way up here, your gas is way up here. I took my pedals and I cut them, bent them down into where they were as you know what I mean. So it was comfortable. But remember we asked that question to people. We were like, hey, I know you don't like driving your truck, but you don't want to say it out loud. Email me. I want to know. And people were messaging me. They're like, I hate my truck.
Yeah.
I don't like
Really?
driving. Yeah, because
Oh, you're asking like your audience and stuff?
yeah, you know, because not a lot of people are going to do the work, and then they're not going to say this sucks.
Right.
They're like, no, it's totally fine.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's like
'Cause they don't
you
wanna
say
admit that
that.
they-
Yeah.
And to go back to that like mentality thing, I think we are right on the cusp of like us coming out of that. Like we're not going to put up with traditional body drops. We're gone are the days of the $3,500 bag job. So people are starting to get into the mentality it's going to cost more, but it's going to be better.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more enjoyable, and they can drive it and not hate driving it.
Yeah.
And I think we're right at the cusp.
You're going to spend the money. You're not going to be okay with spending the money, but you're going to spend the money.
but
'cause-
you understand.
I mean, you're
why.
in this
No,
boat
yeah,
right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
you know, and we had this discussion earlier, and it's just like, it's going to cost this much, and you're like, that's a lot of money for a mini truck. But
That's why I say we're at the cusp,
We're at the
because we're
cusp, yeah.
and your chassis are coming along at the perfect time to crest that,
Push that over.
yeah, and
I
come
hope
into the
so.
next
And,
generation,
and
of it.
give somebody that's like the drivability's there,
right,
you know, and where they enjoy driving it, you know,
So
and like,
yeah,
Troy from
body dropped.
Body Drop,
Uh-huh.
you know, like Brody's truck was one of the first. I mean, he'd mob it hundreds of miles and was like, dude, it's great, you know, and that was like the start of kind of like the Tacoma stuff, you know, with Max and all that, and like and we used his truck to R&D a bunch of stuff, like when I did some of the pedal stuff. You know, between Max and I, we were developing, and like he got the first rear disc brake kit and we machined the brackets to put wheel woods on the rear of a Tacoma axle and stuff like that. And so we would make the parts, and then, so, you know, everyone's like, well, you know, Willwood doesn't make a kit for that. I was like, well, they make all these parts.
right,
And then
you're
I
gonna-
can make the missing
Yeah.
pieces, you know, so all my stuff I order from Willwood is individual parts. You know, and then make my own kit, or I mean, I can the same thing. I can go through their catalog and be like, "Here's all their rotor hats. Okay, which one of these is going to fit where I need to fit, and how does this work?" You know, and then we have the capabilities to machine caliper adapter brackets. You know,
You're doing mini truck stuff just with better tools.
yeah,
and the
And you've
industry.
said, I remember you said that
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of how that's. I mean, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, when we were into mini trucks, that wasn't attainable.
right, exactly. So
The only
you had to
peop-
put up with it. You had to say, no, this is totally fine.
Yeah.
Where now, like what I was gonna say is like, I love driving my truck the way like. If like driving a stock Tacoma is awesome. I drive it every single day. I love driving it. And we were heading out to Pandas one time. I had driven mine from Southern California out to Arizona, and we're driving over to Pandas, and we're just cruising on the freeway. I have like a cup of coffee, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do, just much closer
Just
to the
lower.
ground.
Yeah.
That's it, and that's where we're at.
Yep. And I hope we can help people do that.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think
and-
I think you will, man. I think you're right. I think you
And-
are arriving right at
You're
the right
doing
time.
two things.
And it'll evolve.
Yeah.
I-
Two,
I-
you're doing. I think you're doing two things where you're helping that comfortability, drivability, and all that stuff, but just time.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
time is such an important thing to all of us as we're getting older and whatever you have going on with your life. And for someone like, say, Trevor, who he can be like, all right, I can order this chassis. It's going to cost about the same if I order this chassis and do it this way, or I build it a 3/4 chassis and figure out all of it my way. But it's going to save you 5 months of build
That's
time.
true.
We can order now, and when your truck comes in to do it, it's there, ready to go.
Yeah. So we're maybe not necessarily saving you a ton of money, but we're gonna save you a ton, and it's gonna do what it's supposed to do. You know, because someone else already figured it out.
Yeah. And I hope, I mean, you get a better quality product for similar money. And that's not a dog on anybody. It's just the fact of we're making multiples at a time.
You've already figured it out.
Yeah.
And so
we're spreading that over a bunch of different customers, I mean, and that's where like these first couple customers are getting a smoking deal on this chassis and like I'm putting it back to a driving truck. So we'll cut the bed floor, we'll cut the tubs, and they'll get kind of put back in place. We're not going to finish everything out and body work it and all that. That's not what we do. But I'm like, we're going to make it function for them and everything.
it'll drive in and drive out.
Exactly. For, a really good price, because I'm willing to put that, like I'm putting my effort and R&D into it, and they're basically buying all the parts, and doing everything like that. And
So
so
you should have done that.
I know. I was trying to give freaking Panda the benefit of the doubt here.
No, you
No,
just
it's
wanted
all-
to film
but-
it.
But he would have probably been like, yeah, just do that.
He would
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
but not everybody has access to a decent fabricator as well, or my buddy can do it in a garage, and 3 years later it still hasn't
Yeah,
gotten
exactly. Yeah,
done.
that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
I mean, we took in a truck for a customer a year ago, square body, and it's been in his buddy's garage for 7 years.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, and he's just not getting to it. It's on the side, and he's like, I just want to drive the truck.
Yeah.
So we take it in and do some stuff to get it. He's like, can you do all this work, get it further along, and that might motivate him, or like these things I can't do, he doesn't want to do, get it there, and just kind of jumpstart it, kind of a deal. And so, we helped him out doing like that kind of stuff. But not everyone has that, or someone they can trust. Because there's a lot of hacks out there too, so you got to be careful.
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of an interesting thing too.
Yeah, I can build a front end, and they've never done it, or
Yeah.
I saw it on TV, kind of a deal.
Maybe people thinking they can do more than they can. I've done that myself.
Or getting stuck in like jail. People say jail, paint jail.
Yeah, paint
or fab
jail, yeah.
and they don't have someone they can rely on to like fabricate them something. So this will get them, because a chassis is a major step.
Yes.
So once they get past the chassis, install an engine and the drivetrain, then it's, wiring and plumbing, and that stuff's like pretty attainable, even especially for mini truckers that are used to doing stuff like that. And the market supports it better too. I mean, it's just way better air management stuff now. It's not manual switches,
Yeah.
like
That's
how it
another
was.
thing that
like,
I've said, like compared to a long time ago, is the parts are better. Like I was actually having a conversation about that with someone today. It's like, and I said this before, like we have to get out of the $3,500 bag job mentality, because now we live in this new world. But so now when you rock up to a shop and they're like, okay, it's $125 an hour, blah, blah, blah. But for that $125 an hour, you're getting such a better, experience, a better product.
Yeah.
So yeah, it costs a lot more, but you're getting a lot more.
You're getting a lot more. Yeah, I had a friend hit me up, and he hasn't had a bag truck in a long time. And he said, hey, you've been doing these videos and these builds. He goes, what's it cost a bag and body drop a truck these days? And I was like, I don't know, but it's more than X. And he goes, for a mini truck? And I said, well, what's the difference between a mini truck and a Chevy truck or a C10? You're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're almost having to do it. It's almost more, because they make parts for those trucks.
right.
That are, you can get a kit for an NBS Chevy for
Yeah.
a really good price,
And
because
they
they
make-
sell so many that they can
Yeah.
make
And they make the tubs, and they make, and it's
then-
like,
yeah.
now you're going to have to fabricate your own stuff.
yeah. So with the mini truck, you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had another conversation with a person today about they were looking at a truck to buy, and it was not a complete truck, but pretty far along. And he says, yeah, the guy wants X amount of dollars for it, and I was like, okay. I said, that's a really good deal. He's like, yeah, he just did the motor swap in it. I'm like an LS motor swap? He's like, yeah. I'm all, you're talking about the price that he's asking for is almost $5,000 less it is to just do the swap. And you're buying a bag truck with it. So it's like, but it's really hard for us coming out of, these different generations and different thinkings to wrap our heads around that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because we hear like, oh, this truck costs X amount of dollars. Like, dang, that's a lot. But it's not. Try to recreate that truck. And now I'm actually, after now kind of like delving into this new thing about him building the trucks and we're, learning about all these things, I think I undersold my 4Runner, to be honest with you.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, that guy got a good deal.
Yeah.
And when I first sold it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I sold this truck for this amount of money. But now I'm like, I think I sold it too cheap.
Where we are coming into this time where, like you said, everything's turning a corner with the mini truck stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think if you could, it's almost like if you're going to build it, spend the good money on the good parts. Because when you do go to sell it, you're going to get
right.
You're going to have all these trucks that were just kind of hacked, and people aren't going to want those anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, expectations are going to be much
higher.
They're
much higher, and they're like...
Well, and they're learning, like I've had, I think now, 2 specific customers that have told me they've bought old cover trucks. And they're like, dude, I got a killer deal on it. And now I know why.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And a cover truck is not, it doesn't mean
it's like especially in today's standard, you're like, and he's, sending me pictures and he's like, dude, the bed, like the chassis where the bed was off like 3/4 of an inch from corner to corner, and they had washers stacked up here. And then I had this weird funky vibration and this clinking and then this and this, and so it's like, I'm just gonna buy your kit, I'm just gonna cut it all apart and redo it. And
that's why I always,
really sorry that you have to,
old cover truck and it was a SEMA car. Oh, like I think I'm good.
So are we allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
So
fucking do it.
My wife wants me to do it so bad for this, like, we came up with a slogan for our mini truck back half. And I'm like, I just don't think I can do it just because it offends too many people. But I totally wanted to make it unfuck your mini.
Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah.
Just because, like, I try not to be, like, all weird to people. Like, I want to be to the family person. And they're like, hey, I can't be, like, saying that or whatever. Yeah. But it was like, there's so many. I get so many calls of people like, this is just so fucked up. And I'm like, I got a kit for that.
Yeah, I can fix that.
I can fix that. Chop it off here and throw it away and start here, And it's just, like I said, I'm trying to help people get out of that and have a solution to not have that excuse. So yes, it's going to cost money.
Yeah, of course, yeah. As an engineer and as you going through all this stuff, walking around this show today, do you see a lot of things that are
out of sorts?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a pretty tough critic.
Yeah. But like we don't need to say anything out loud or anything like that. But like the big lifted stuff, there's
there's atrocious.
It's so bad.
I'm like that.
It's so bad.
I'm like that.
We don't know anything. And things drive by our booth.
We're all like, oh, that's pretty. And he drives by, like, oh my god, that goes down the road.
Yeah, like not far to the trailer, like.
Yeah. Do you see things that surprise you, like that are good?
Positive?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like maybe not the overall, but like maybe this one thing about it or something.
Yeah, and there's some stuff out there where I'm like, wow, they actually
thought that
through and did that well. Like,
I remember when I had my lifted Titan, when my Titan was on 40-inch tires, and we did custom arms up front, 4-link and truss the axle, all this stuff. And I remember we were at Summer Madness, and I was like, Max, come look at this. My buddy in the club did it, and he was really good at what he did. And I was like, tell me if he did that okay. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I would have done this. He goes, but that was really good. The steering's really good, and this. And I was like, okay,
you're
cool.
Good.
Yeah. So it's always interesting to like, from someone like you who's done the engineering thing and knows all about geometry, to see a guy in his garage that did it, and you're like, oh, you did that really good.
Yeah, there's definitely good stuff out there.
Yeah, because we always do talk about the hacks, but
right. Well, they kind of get, because some of it's you're like, it's so atrocious. You're just you can't look away, right? You're just like, that's so terrible, or like.
But is there people out there listening to reading Max's book and then taking that.
I hope
and,
so.
And putting it to use.
You know, and that was another big thing. You know, as we got to know each other, and he was in the middle of that book. You know, and you know, so we would talk about certain things, and you know, and be like, well, you know, you understand this? Does this make sense to the common person? You know, and I didn't have any effect on the book at all. I'm not trying to say that, but or I would be like, hey, this is my view when I read it after the book was published, or you know, or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, that's a good, you know, like view. You know, this is a good look. I never thought about that way. You know, kind of a deal. And because yeah, like I said, I look at it from that manufacturing standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this could be misconstrued. You know, like it seems obvious, or I'm like, I think it's this way, you know, and like, and still, there's still certain things that like it, you know, driveline angle is a big thing that still trips a lot of people up, that he does a good job of explaining, you know, in there, and just, you know, certain things on geometry, like there's just a few things. If you do these 5 things when you set up the rear suspension, you're gonna be fine, you know, and you get those in the ballpark, you're not going to notice. IFS,
Yeah, that's
it's
like a whole different
ball
thing.
of wax. You know?
That's why
another. You know, there's all these little things that people say that I cringe at when I hear them. Not that I don't doubt them. I just, from talking to people like you, I understand that it's one is, yeah, I'm going to build a full chassis in my garage, and two is like, yeah, I'm just going to put an RX-7 rear end in, or some sort of independent rear suspension.
Corvette or
It's not just like stuffing that in there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's another one I always cringe at. I'm doing IFS in the back. I'm like, okay, good luck.
Yeah. And I had a shop come to me one time when I knew the guy fairly well, and he was like, hey, I just put a Corvette, you know, IRS in this hot rod, and I just shortened the arm so that everything, you know, I cut this here and did this and this, and I'm like,
No, nope.
have you cycled that suspension? Well, no. I was like, you go do that. It's gonna fall apart. You know, you're gonna have to change some mount locations and stuff. Like, he's like, well, it's just shortening it up. It's not a big deal. I'm like, oh, it's a big deal. You know,
Well, that's what you're saying. Little changes make big differences.
exactly. You know, and so it's like, go back. He's like, oh, you're right. You know, it's like, how do we fix this? You know, like,
You'll be back.
yeah. Well, no, just like, hey, you know, try this and do that, or
I
like,
see.
or hey, you know, and I've sent several people to Max and be like, you know, you need to talk to Max. Like, he's way better at some of this stuff. I've seen it, you know, and like this new mini truck. If you pay attention, it's got like what I call swing set steering on it, and so that was one thing that took a bunch of doing. Like, I probably have over 100 hours of me sitting at a computer just moving components around and like, okay, this works, that works, oh, now this interferes, and this, we're getting better and better at the chassis stuff, and I'm pretty proud of this one, as far as like, I put every nut and bolt in the model on this one, and cycled the full cycle up and down, steering everything, like looking for any interferences, and like before I would get it 80%, and then we'd build the chassis and be like, oh, that hits.
I was gonna say,
it
was this one you did it 100%, right?
We did 100% on the chassis. We built it the last 2 weeks before we came here.
Cool.
A little bit before that, but I mean, the mad thrash.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the shop on board.
Oh, cool.
You know, right before we got here. And 2 days before we left, we were final assembling it, and it went together surprisingly smooth.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh, I'm so glad I modeled every single detail of
Yeah,
this thing.
yeah, because you had already ran through all those different
Yeah,
scenarios.
and my wife probably like realizes it, where I'm like, one night I'd be like, oh, this is great. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a big crash. There's a big problem right here. Like steering being one of them. Like, oh, it's all fits and everything. Drop the motor in. Crap.
Yeah.
You know, the steering rack's through the middle of the oil pan.
Um,
Oh, you can make them cut the oil pan. Nope, I'm not making you know. Oh, this is bolt on, but you have to modify this. You have to do this, and there's certain things you're gonna have to do. You know, but there's like, that's unavoidable. Let's avoid it.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if it's unavoidable, we can't. But if it's avoidable, let's do it. So we had to pull the steering rack forward of where it needed to be for proper Ackerman and bump steer. And so we had to slide the rack forward like 1.25 inches to clear the 3RZ motor. The 22RE would fit how we had it and where we wanted it. The 3RZ didn't, and it's a front sump.
Yep.
So then we found
That's the Tacoma motor?
Yep. And then we found a T100 had a 3RZ in it, a 2-wheel drive, and it was a rear sump. So I bought the pan and everything from Toyota. One of my customers owns a Toyota dealership.
Oh, cool.
And so I call, like, hey, I need this. He's like, yeah, we'll get it straight from Toyota tomorrow for you. And
cool.
like, stuff. So then I was like, hey, if we pulled that motor out, stuck that pan in there, then scanned it, and was like, okay, then they can just buy a pan from Toyota, use it, and they're like, oh, well, slightly hits here, so we'll move the rack, and that kind of started this next snowball thing of that. And so we pushed the rack forward, and then had to use like a swing set steering on it to then put the outer tie rod points, the inner points of the outer tie rod where we needed to. And so it's just something that people can look at and see, like, why'd you do that? Well, there's
there's like a ton of
reason.
reasons. Yeah.
But a lot of people will just push it forward and let the Ackerman beat a crap.
So that the chassis works for the 2RZ and 3RZ, same motor, motor essentially.
Right? Yeah. It's just
does it
internals,
work for the V6?
I don't know
Oh, that's a good question.
because I don't have one.
Yep.
That's a good question.
Yeah. And I've had a couple people today ask me.
Yeah.
So
First of all, don't use that one. Just use the 4-cylinder. It's way better.
yeah.
No
Well,
way.
and-
That V6 is. That's
then
not
Max-
the old V6. That new V6 is.
Max
That's
is
the
like
3.4 V6, right?
he's
Yeah.
like, do that one and then supercharge it. Get the
Oh,
supercharge first. He goes, then you're gonna watch where everything gets real tight.
Yeah.
And on a full body dropped. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
He did it.
He did it on that 4Runner, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so it's possible, but he's like, man, you were like cutting structure out of the hood, bracing, and is like, it is pushing the limits. It's physically just like as much as you and moving a bunch of components. And I'm like, that's just it's a big can of worms.
Yeah. It's
And
also
we'll get to
such a.
V6.
It's also such a small percentage.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably 90%
Right.
2RZ, 3RZ,
Yeah.
2RZ basically, because the 3RZ is a pre-runner motor. So
It's just internals, right? It's just like raw.
it's just a
stuff.
longer
It's-
stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's exact same thing. So then and then maybe a couple guys with a V6. But
Right.
how many people have a V6 that are going to buy a full chassis? Your
Exactly.
percentage just starts to go down to the point
Right.
where like
There's no return.
there's
on-
none.
Well,
There's
it
none.
goes back
It's
to
only
the-
it's almost for your benefit, just to see if it'll work.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, it works. All right, who's gonna buy one? And everyone's like, I'm not gonna buy a V6 one.
Well, it's like you were
Right.
saying about the guys who want to stock brakes versus Wellwood brakes. Is eventually you start funneling down to just kind of one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at some point, I would say, like, I mean, we can leave. You can build motor mounts. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll just leave those off of them, or and even the way we've designed it to be, quote unquote, a mini truck chassis. I'm trying not to promote it as a Tacoma chassis or a Toyota chassis.
Oh, I see.
So it can fit these other ones where, we can sell it. We've had a couple Mazda people come up, today and ask about it. I'm like, we can sell it to you with no mounts on it, just bare rails. And we can sell you a rough mount or something that you could cut and then move. I mean, you're pretty close. I mean, like, yeah, well, that's easy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just some body mounts and bed mounts. That's not a big deal. We're all the other things figured out. So I'm going to try. I mean, it should be able to fit, what I guess I call import minis.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the smaller, right? Not S10, not
Is there
Ranger.
plans to do an S10 one?
I think so.
Yeah, because I would think S10 that would bring it back full circle to
Yeah.
you
For
your
me,
beginning-
exactly.
Yeah,
to your
exactly. Yeah.
beginnings,
And I'll probably end up building an S10 just for the nostalgia.
Just
kind
for
of deal,
fun.
Like, and they're everywhere. Where we're around, that is the one thing that we can find a lot of is S10s. And that's probably why I ended up with one. And in that region, Tacoma's like, it was like the rich mini.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it was like I mean, we're in farming, kind of hick country. Like, not a lot of people had Tacomas. There's a lot of Rangers and S10s.
That's
Yeah.
how. So
and-
growing up, I always wanted a Tacoma. I always had a Mazda.
Yeah.
Just never could afford a Tacoma because they're more expensive. And parts, like, yeah.
Yep,
So I
and
always
there's
ended up with bag
Mazdas,
Mazdas.
and there's still a mini truck club in the town I grew up in.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
really?
And it's funny because I just last summer I brought this Tacoma to the very first show we just got done, and I brought it down to a show where they were at, and they were like over the moon excited.
That's
They're
cool.
like,
The orange one?
yeah, they were like, oh my God, a new one. Like, we haven't seen someone build a Mini in decades.
That's cool.
And they all got like, the one guy had an Isuzu and a couple Mazdas and a hard body and then a bunch of full sizes because they had all changed over to full size, you know, and then coming back into the minis and stuff.
I think that's happening a lot. I think
just-
people are going right back because, like, you know, growing up in the scene, started in mini trucks, and then, you know, people started getting into like full size trucks, and then Cadillacs, and then hot rods, and everybody kind of like went and experienced different things. But I think a lot of those dudes are coming right back, and they're building mini trucks again. You know,
Yeah.
There's another thing in our scene that gets said a lot by. There's two different groups. There's the mini trucking's dead, and then there's the mini trucking's not dead people, you know.
Yeah.
And the mini trucking's dead people always complain about things aren't the same and things aren't as cool as they used to be. And I always say no, they're better.
Yeah.
The things that are happening right now, again, that like cuffs thing, is things are on track to be very, very good.
Yeah. Well, people get stuck in the, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in
Yeah.
the day. And we all do because
You get
the-
scared of change.
Yeah, everyone gets scared of change, you know. And also, when you got into the mini trucking thing, that was the funnest time because that's why you got into it and stayed into it. Like, I got into a mini truck club because I went to a truck run, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is amazing.
Well,
You know,
and we were all young and seeking fun. We didn't have all the responsibilities
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
weren't grown up, you know.
yeah.
So of course that's like that was a great time in my life.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like we were just being kids. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I had toys, I had mini truck and dirt bike, and
And that's why we convinced
You
ourselves
know.
that traditional body drop trucks are fine.
Yeah.
you just put
Well,
up with
Tony's
it. You know,
building
like-
one right now.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where, like, if you're not going to daily drive it, it's completely fine. But the other part of that, what I was going to say is, and I totally forgot.
That's okay.
You threw me off on that
My bad.
thing again. Anyways,
Anyway, we're done. Are we done?
I don't know.
Are you calling it?
I don't know. I just went to this thing of back in the day. What was I going to say?
I don't know. Anyway, it's what time
It's
is it?
late.
Anyway?
Well-
It's late.
Yeah.
I hope it. You know, I mean, my whole point is to help, kind of like push the industry, and also just offer something that no one else does and has done. You know, I mean,
Are you gonna try to go to more mini truck shows to kind of promote this stuff?
Yeah.
Are you gonna go out to Mini Nats?
no,
Oh.
not this year at least.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
He's gonna come down to Forbidden.
We're doing
Oh,
Forbidden.
cool.
We're doing
Heck yeah.
Forbidden. We're doing mini truck Northwest,
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
and then possibly Day of the Dead.
The
Is that what it's
Calacas?
No.
What's the show right after the Saturday after SEMA in
Oh.
Vegas?
A Day to Remember.
Day
A Day to Remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, we call it Chubs. Because back in the day it used to be called Chubs. It still kind of is, blah, blah, blah. It's a Day
A
to
Day to
Remember.
Remember, not
Yeah,
Day to
yeah,
Dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about that one.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you
thought-
can come down and hang out at SEMA for a little while,
Yeah.
and then
And then the following week after that is Dino's.
oh yeah, so then you just
The
come
weekend
into
after
Arizona.
that. We thought about doing that last year. It was just too much of a push, and we didn't have.
You
The
bring the
chassis.
mini truck chassis to Dino's?
No, just to
No.
come to Dino's.
Oh, just go check it out.
Yeah.
Well, we might bring two chassis.
Oh, like
Do a C10.
we might
chip.
do it. We might bring a C10.
Oh, cool.
And then bring the mini as well, the
yeah.
chassis, and then be able to hit both.
We're slowly
You know.
infiltrating Dino's with mini trucks.
No, he's gonna bring a C10 chassis down.
No, I know, but you said he might bring a
Well, he would do the mini truck chassis at the Chubbs.
I know, but he's gonna have it anyway.
yeah, just set it out.
Oh, yeah,
there.
yeah, just
slide
set it
it
out.
in.
That's
No
what
one
I'm
knows what it
saying.
is.
It's what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Slowly infiltrating.
And then I'm just gonna park my Tacoma. I'm gonna bring it, put tubs of T-shirts in it.
Yeah.
Put it next to my booth and just leave it there.
There's yours,
You just
and
wanna-
then there's Trevor's, and then Jaime's Stout. Like
Yeah.
just
You just want to put the mini truck chassis in your booth, and then
There we
Yeah,
go.
and then they won't
Yes.
even know. But
They
it's
won't
still
even
mini
know.
truck.
They're like, what?
I'm
what-
gonna write you down for that because I'm gonna hold you to that.
okay.
Yes, I would love a mini truck chassis in the booth at Dino's.
That would be hilarious.
But cool. So your socials, like Instagram,
Hell's Gate Hot Rods,
Hell's Gate Hot Rods.
everything.
Check out the YouTube channel. Great video.
Oh yeah,
Great
we didn't even
build
bring
videos.
that up. The YouTube channel's great.
Yeah,
So-
it's a new thing. I'm terrible.
No,
We're-
that's good.
kind of
They're cool. They're-
experiment,
Yeah,
like-
it's
they're
really good. Yeah, when you first we were talking about you doing it and stuff, then you brought the first one. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
The hardest part with stuff like that is like it getting boring.
Yep.
like talking about tedious things, but the pace is always good. It's always interesting. There's things happening. So.
And people are coming to your channel to learn and to.
Oh yeah, they're
and
specifically
I try
going
to
there
be
to
a little
learn
bit-
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a dabble of just like what's going on in the shop,
Right.
So you keeping it entertaining, but like that's why they're there. Is they want to hear you talk about the thing. You're
Yeah, and
doing.
I have plans to do more of that, and even and we'll probably do a lot more on this mini truck to show like all the features. I mean, we didn't even get into like a huge amount of detail of the chassis, but like, I mean, I get into like speccing the hardware and stuff for our chassis, and we don't just use Create 8 bolts. We use AN hardware for everything, so it's properly sized for length and I don't know if you guys know anything about AN hardware.
No.
It's another deep dive, but
Yeah.
it's aircraft grade hardware, so it's for one, it's stronger than grade 8. It's but it's built to a higher tolerance, so it just kind of goes back to that build quality thing. So like a grade 8 might be plus or minus 20-30 thousandths on the shank. Never over, always under, because I can't make it over because then it would never go in a hole, but it might be way under, so it'd be sloppy or whatever. And then you can just specify total bolt length, right? And the amount of threads you get is the amount of threads you get. It's just predetermined. Well, in AN hardware, you specify the length of the unthreaded shaft portion. The threaded portion is always the same length
Oh, okay.
for each diameter. So on a 3/8 bolt or a 1/2 inch bolt, the threaded length is the thickness of a washer, a lock nut, and 2 threads.
Oh.
Doesn't
Every
matter
time.
if the bolt is 5 inches long or 1/2 inch long, the thread's the same because that's all you need. And so, but they make that hardware in like 16-inch increments. And so the proper way to do hardware is to have the solid shank go from the outside of the bracket to the outside of the bracket and only the thread sticking out.
Because the threads are just there to hold it together.
Correct. They're just there to hold it together, and all your force in your ride should be on the strongest part, which is the uncut shaft.
Right.
And so I go through and like make it starts with like having to make all the parts so that the outside width goes to a bolt that's obtainable. But AN makes that a lot easier, but it's all, they don't make every single one, but they make common ones. And so you have to do all this like pre-planning and math and be like, okay, we want the bushing width to be this plus a 3/16 bracket on each side or a 1/4 inch bracket on each side, and that changes. So I mean, all the chassis have that kind of hardware in it and thought.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
figure it out. And so it's like,
yeah.
I want to
The
do a
attention
bunch
to
more.
detail.
I want to do a bunch more videos explaining that
I was gonna say that would be perfect because
because
that's super
people
interesting.
don't understand that, and
Yeah.
it's something that I feel is important, and it kind of came out of the performance and racing stuff. It's like where that's critical, and it a lot of this comes out of the off-road industry. It kind of evolves in that, and so like the AN stuff. Oh shoot, I just drew a blank on the company. Anyway, they have a class 1 truck that they run,
Oh, really?
in
Oh,
Baja
cool.
and all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so they did it, and they proved to all these automotive people. They've been in the aircraft industry forever. And they're like, we can apply this to automotive. So they started doing that, and so trophy truck teams back in the day would replace all their critical suspension component bolts after every race.
Oh, wow.
Because the theory
yeah.
was we're not going to lose a race on a $5 bolt.
Right, on a broken bolt, yeah.
And you never knew when it was going to break. So every race they'd change bolts. Then they started using aircraft grade, and they realized they could go a whole year
Oh, okay.
without breaking them.
Interesting.
And then they would change them every year just to be safe, when they probably don't have to do that.
they probably never
you know?
would have to. Yeah.
They're a lot more expensive, but they're built to a higher quality. And so it's like, do they need them? Technically, no. I mean, mini truckers aren't like beating the crap out of it where they're gonna like break a bolt or whatever.
It's a very good. Now I don't want to say good argument or good discussion if it's needed or not, like that, right? Because you could be like, it's not needed,
not from a
And then-
strength standpoint.
Yeah, and they would say, well, then why would you do it?
Yep.
And then
And
you
I-
would say, well, why wouldn't you?
Well, I do it for that length thing. It's
Yeah.
like, so we don't have any threaded portion of the bolt in the bracket as the shear point.
Right.
As the point that's
because
going to break.
that weakens the...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or just the fact of you're riding on 2 threads inside the suspension bracket. When those threads wear down, now all of a sudden your bolt can slop. And you're like, why is my truck all like wandery and weird? And you're like, oh, well, the bolt threads have wore down and now it wobbles in that hole, or it walls the hole out. So it's like you just don't have that. If everything fits tight and stays tight and it just pivots as it does and it can't move, you don't wear the same. So there's like other factors. Yeah, they're super strong. They're never going to break, but that's not why we do it.
Right.
But it's you can't buy a less strong bolt to that specification as far as length and all that. So we just kind of, so there's, I try not to, I mean, we're trying to build a premium product and something that people want. And that's why they're TIG welded, and everything they just stack all the premium stuff up on there. And I try to be as cost effective as I can on it, but not sacrifice.
Yeah. You're not sacrificing
quality.
your quality and and your thinking in it, because that's to kind of circle the whole thing, and that's the engineer thinking that goes into that.
Yeah.
Whether it's
where engineering meets mini trucking is an interesting.
That's a better slogan than "unfuck your mini truck."
Well, I would say there's a lot of stuff that you should put on this YouTube channel, and making examples of what you just said of where the thread can be in the bracket and wear out and where it can't be. And I would just say, go and watch your YouTube channel.
Well, thank you. And if you guys, I mean, I'm all up for suggestions. So anyone comment, hit me up.
And questions are fun to ask, because a lot of people are scared to ask questions. Especially if they if they work at a shop or own a shop or think they know everything.
I still learn every day. Like I was saying, the Winfield thing, and I'm not afraid to be like, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's important.
I
the people
out.
who don't say that are the ones that are like, I don't know, man.
If they always have the answer.
They think they're infallible, kind of thing.
And every chassis we build is getting better, and there will be revisions, and they'll get better. I mean, it's just that should be the way it goes. I mean, I don't want to just mail it in and be like, we got it. Now we can just kick back. And my brain doesn't work that way.
For sure.
I got tons of places I want to go with.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. Like we should, not because this is like sort of the beginning of all this, we should like link up, in like a year from now and then have this conversation. See how things are going.
See what,
It'll be our annual LST.
Well, we probably won't be here every year.
We'll figure out. We'll link up somewhere.
Mini Nats.
Mini Nats next year. He could be one of the cabin guests.
Yeah.
Next year, 2027, cabin guests for Mini Nats.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, cool. Right on, man.
Might just fly out there and check it out.
No, for sure.
No, you should.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we're in a part of the country that makes it like we have to do a lot of traveling, so I have to pick my shows carefully.
That's very true.
Well, I mean, I'm not suggesting anything, but we're taking your Tacoma out to Mini Nats this year. Next year, I don't know what my truck will be, but might need a trailer to take a chassis out there to go show off.
There you go.
See?
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk afterwards. Anyway,
Frank's trying to figure out how to get
I'm just trying to scheme a chassis off of Andy here. Anyway, thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.